What is up, swashbuckling strangers? Hi, guys.
Yar.
Yeah, Aaron came up with that when we were driving. He's like, have you used swashbuckling yet? And I'm like, I don't think we use swashbuckling.
Definitely not.
No.
Thanks, Aaron.
That's something an intern can do, is to go to see what words we all use, too, when we get our
We have a lot of work for
intern.
the intern.
I'm sporting my Red Owl t-shirt.
Red Owl, that's
I
a
love Red
throwback.
Owl. It is a throwback.
I'm sporting well, you can't see it. I'm wearing Ghosts.
And a sweatshirt because it is chilly. It was like 47 degrees when I left Manitowoc this morning.
It's going to be 86 next
It's
week.
going to be back to humid and 86.
Welcome to Wisconsin.
Yep. I want to give quick shout outs to our newest strangers, and those are Kelly Brusky, my cousin. What's up, Kelly?
What's up,
Thank
Kelly?
you for listening. Steve Hill and Hilly Hobb. I just want to give a general shout out to all of my students that still listen, that started school this last week, and I've already got some messages from them venting about school, so I remember what that's like.
Yuck.
So thank you guys so much for listening. As always, we love you guys, and we love that you want to listen to us because we don't understand it, but we're glad you do.
Hey, not everybody wants to listen to
No,
us.
not everybody does like to listen to us. Why don't you tell them about that?
Yeah, so I keep an eye on the studio. I have the studio app, YouTube studio app, and we'll get to what I normally say at the beginning of every episode. Maybe I'm purposely not saying it right now. But anyway, I check the studio app. Can you tell I'm a little bitter? And I check for comments and new comments and views and subscribers and stuff. And there's these two comments from somebody on our Smiley Face Killers episode.
Yes.
The first one, I think the first one is in lower caps, and it says 15 minutes in and these two airheads haven't mentioned the subject of SFK, waste of time. Watch William Ramsey if you're interested in SFK. Well, whoever that is, check them out. I'm sure they're better than us. And then the next comment, they left two comments. This one's all caps.
Oh, they went to all caps.
All
so
caps.
They're mad.
They're shouting now.
They are all heated
Do
up.
not bother with this waste of time. 20 minutes in and they are tasting food. They are testing food. Waste of times. Thumbs down on this car crash.
Oh, well,
I'm sorry this was such a traumatic experience for you. I could probably offer up some resources for you.
Yes, you could.
If you're really struggling with having to listen to 20 minutes of us talking.
Yeah, and I get it. The thing is, I get it because it annoys me when podcasts do that too. But then we have so many listeners that said they used to hate it, and now it's like their favorite part of the show.
Why is
I know
it so
some
hard to just skip over it?
I know some that only listen to that.
Yeah, that's
they don't
funny.
care about the episode, what we're talking about, but they care about that. But what I don't get is that doing. I'm getting annoyed. Doing research for the podcast, I've listened to some very subpar podcasts that sound like they were recorded underwater on somebody's iPod Touch from 2012, and I don't go to their. And I'm like, oh, your podcast sucks, her.
Yeah.
I
feel
don't
it's just
understand.
a troll thing.
Yeah, but it is. But it's just everybody has to think that their opinion matters. You know, and it's just which I get. We think ours does because we're doing a podcast, obviously. But I think it's so stupid that people have to go and be, thumbs down. Listen to this guy because he's better.
Airheads.
Yeah, airheads.
To be fair,
I'm okay with the airhead thing because I like the candy airheads.
Oh, okay.
So
also,
good.
I think I'm kind of an airhead. But
I'm totally an airhead.
To be fair, this was audio only. It was before video. We weren't really putting much into the YouTube channel, and we weren't posting the timestamp of the topic start yet.
Yep.
But I do think somebody, because I posted this on the Facebook page, and of course, people came out in droves to support us.
Yes, thank you guys.
Pick up my fragile ego off the floor. Because I take this stuff to heart.
And that's
really
why I don't read the comments. If a student leaves a comment, you have to send it to me because I don't read them.
Or your aunt.
Or my aunt. Yeah.
But shoot, what was I going to say? I know that we were still, because somebody said even though you weren't posting it yet, you still told people they could skip ahead because the first part is 20 minutes. We've said that for several seasons, I think.
Yep. I'll make it clearer. I'll say in our thing, I'll put the first 20 minutes is usually us just chatting. The actual episode topic starts at. I'll start doing that so they're not, clutching their pearls and all taken aback at how long we're talking.
Super offended by us.
But that being said, I want to go into an awesome
Well, hold on. I didn't say it yet.
Oh, okay.
Well, and on the YouTube channel, I add chapters now, so you can actually skip.
Dang.
You can actually skip to chapters.
I'm impressed.
But hey, if you don't want to listen to the next 20 minutes, hit pause. Check the show notes. If you're on YouTube, just skip ahead to the next chapter.
Okay.
We usually get to the topic around the 20-minute mark. So
It just
sorry for offending
it just harshes my mellow. It makes me want to record a very hot button topic episode and just banter for the whole 2 hours and get to the end and be like, whoops, we don't have time for the actual, just to really annoy people.
Also, we got a lot of really nice comments on that episode on YouTube.
Yeah.
So for
So
every
there's always
crappy comment, there's like 5 good ones.
There's always a butthead.
And then somebody joined the Facebook group like that same day or the next day.
Yeah.
Because they said that was their favorite episode. And
So we don't know if it was that same person that complained about the podcast.
Did they listen to it and they're like, oh, never mind.
I was waiting for them to cause trouble. We need to make some other people in the group administrators too, just in case something happens.
Yeah.
But that being said, going to a really awesome voicemail we got. There are better ways to go about constructive criticism. So that being said, we got a voicemail from my guy Crazy, and I don't know who he is.
Oh, okay.
But
I was like,
but I listened to the voicemail and I was laughing and I'm like, I kind of want to hang out with this dude. Like, I like him.
Is he constructively criticizing us?
Me.
Oh, okay.
But 100% understandable.
Okay.
But like, I'll play the voicemail first.
Am I going to be mad?
No, I wasn't. I love the voicemail. I think it's perfect.
Okay, ready?
Ready.
Hey guys, it's Crazy up here in Oregon. Love your guys' show, but I absolutely hate when Kurt says Oregon. I can't even say Oregon. It's Oregon. You don't need to emphasize anything else. No Oregon. It's just Oregon. Anyways, I had to get that off my chest. I'm at home sick listening to you guys, and I remembered, hey, you know what? I got to call them. Anyways, I love you guys' show, and you guys are nothing but a hoot, man. But Kurt, it's Oregon. All right. If you need any other lessons from Oregon, let me know. I know you guys have also mentioned something about what's what, and there's other stuff we got going on up here. But again, the state is called Oregon. All right. Rant over. Like I said, you guys did a great job. Right now I'm sick from work and listening to you guys. You guys are great. Keep up the good work. All right. Crazy out. Bye.
Well, that was great.
I laughed so hard when I listened to that.
Okay, Kurt, let's practice.
Oregon.
There you go.
Okay.
I think it's the second one. What do I say? Have we talked about Oregon? Sorry.
I mention it a lot, and I know that I'm mentioning it wrong, but that's like
Oregon.
a blind spot I have is I always say Oregon. But that is how you do good criticism.
Yes.
Like I love him and want to hang out with him now.
I hope you feel better, Crazy.
Yes, I hope you feel better because I know how much that sucks.
Have you heard Kurt say wolf?
That's the thing is like now when I say wolf, I have to actually physically concentrate on saying wolf instead of woof. But, like I say, I'm still going to say Oregon.
I'm not sure if I say it right.
I'm still going to say Oregon because that's just how I say it. But I'm going to do I'm Crazy. I promise I am going to try better to say Oregon.
Keep repeating it under my breath. Oregon.
We didn't do a strange states on that yet, so that's going to be a train wreck.
Now we have to.
It's going to be a train wreck. But again, that is how you do constructive criticism because
funny.
I love Crazy now. I think he's awesome. And he's 100% right. That's so much better. Because you can hear the person's voice. That's so much better than some.
I don't know if I'd want to hear this other person's voice.
That's so much better than some meat stick going on YouTube and being like,
all caps.
So it's just like, I love this voicemail and Crazy, you're 100% right. I say it horribly and I will make an effort to say it correctly in the future.
Thank you,
So
Crazy.
thank you so much for the voicemail and we hope you feel better.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, so I just laughed.
Hey, I wanted to mention... So Oregon made me think of this because Bigfoot. That I feel like that's Bigfoot country. Mm-hmm. Somebody who's not a stranger that I must be friends with on Facebook. This is funny. Posted something about name your list of Mount Rushmore Bigfoot researchers, and they tagged me.
Seriously?
And I was like, okay, number one, thanks.
Are you going out on the weekends we don't record
number
and hunting
two,
Bigfoot that I don't know about?
I'm an enthusiast. I am not a researcher, but I appreciate the shout out. So anyway, go on. What were you saying?
Oh, I don't know. But yeah, like I love that voicemail.
Yeah, that was great.
That's what I got.
I can handle that kind of
Oh, I can
constructive
100%. Like, that's endearing. That's
Yeah,
not
that's
like
endearing.
somebody on
I
the
agree.
YouTube comments. But let's open up this gift.
Okay.
2 weeks ago, we went up north. Me and my old high school friends, and we rented an
Looked
Airbnb, and it was
beautiful.
amazing. It was much needed for me. It was very mentally healthy for me, especially to see my old friends because
Yeah.
I love them. And when we were up there, Mary said this was for us.
Okay.
I know what it is.
Oh, okay.
You can pick the first two, and
Okay.
I'll take the remaining two.
Is it taped or can I
No,
open
you can
okay,
open it.
good. Oh, thank goodness.
Yep.
I don't have the energy to struggle with a box today. Oh, they're socks.
They are socks.
Cute.
They're cryptid socks.
Aw.
There's Mothman.
Okay, Jim says I'm really bad at this. My husband and his
We're
constructive
really bad at the whole
criticism.
podcast.
So
to be
this is
honest with
so
you.
they're Mothman socks. Oh, these look so cozy. Who's this? Death Siren.
Oh.
I don't know if they can see that. Wow.
Oh, she is not pretty. No crush there.
Sorry, the dead space. El Chupacabra.
Chupacabra socks.
That is not what I was expecting.
That is kind of what the
to look
chupacabra
like.
is supposed to look like.
Green. I thought it was
And
more
of
of
course-
like a dog thing. Well, you know I want this pair.
I know. So you can take two, and I will take.
This is a scary Bigfoot. I don't want to run into that Bigfoot. Look
No.
at those teeth.
Yeah, no. But the death siren, I'm not a fan
Yeah, well,
of.
definitely. Yeah, I'll take the Death Siren.
Okay, then I'll take Mothman and the chupacabra.
So who is this?
Mary.
Mary.
My friend
Oh,
Mary
I
that
think I
listens
feel
to-
like I've met Mary.
You've met Mary.
Okay,
We went to
thank you,
Highland
Mary.
House.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Well, these are awesome.
Thank you so much,
you,
Mary.
Mary.
Love you.
Awesome.
Yep.
Okay, so we have a taste
We
test.
have a taste test. This is from Corey. I feel like we've had
I
something.
don't know. Corey can be hit or miss. Sometimes I'm like, he loves us, and sometimes I'm like, wow,
He loves
Corey
us.
does
This will
not
be good.
like us.
This will be. This chances are this will be good.
Oh, did I bring my mug down here?
Your Stars Hollow one.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a star.
I'm loving Gilmore
Hollow
Girls.
mug.
I really am loving the show.
From my birthday a couple weeks ago. Good. I'm glad you're loving it.
Here you go.
Okay. Peanut butter.
Soda.
Old-fashioned soda.
Yep.
Okay. I
You
can
can't
get
go wrong
behind
with.
this.
You can't go wrong with peanut
Let
butter
me take
soda
a quick picture.
at 7:06 in the morning.
I feel like you can't go wrong with peanut butter anything.
No.
I am a fan of peanut butter anything. Showing the YouTube people. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to open this one.
You do you.
Do you think it's even a twisty?
Let me try.
I'm about to attack it with a bottle opener, and it's probably just a twist off.
No, it is
No,
not a
it's-
twist off. It's like a. It's like a. Cut my fingers all up the heck. Oh.
I don't actually smell peanut butter.
Oh, it smells like nothing.
Yeah. Interesting. Glug, glug, glug. Let's see. Oh, now I smell it.
I'm pretty sure that health professionals recommend peanut butter soda at 7:06
Yeah, I bet this
in the
has
morning
really
for
good
breakfast.
protein content.
Yeah, ready?
Yep.
That is. I'm not getting peanut butter.
Do you know what it tastes like? Is a bit of honey candy.
It does. It tastes more like a bit of honey candy than peanut butter. I'm not getting peanut butter.
No.
I was expecting it to taste like Jiffy.
It's not
It
gross.
doesn't taste like Jiffy.
No, it does not taste like It's not gross. It's not what I was expecting. And
No, it is way more bit of honey than it is peanut butter.
it smells like bit of honey, too.
I like it.
It's okay.
I'm gonna give it a 7.
Yeah, I'm giving
I mean,
it a 7.
They tried,
They tried.
but if you would have given me this without telling me what it is, I don't think I would have guessed peanut butter.
No, me neither.
I would have
Definitely
guessed. I would have
not.
guessed honey.
I don't taste peanut butter.
No,
It's okay.
it's not
Wah,
bad.
wah.
It's not bad. It's just not what I expected.
No, I agree.
That's what she said.
Sorry. Oh,
All right, are we ready to jump into today's?
think
Do we have
so.
anything else?
We are right on the mark. We're actually less than 20 minutes.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
I don't think so.
Oh,
we have an investigation
yes.
coming
I was
up.
just going to
Wow.
say that.
No, there's nothing else going on. We've been talking about this for a while. We're not going to say where it is because it's where Jim works, and I'd rather people not know where he works.
Yeah.
But it is a place that allegedly is rumored to possibly have been part of the Underground Railroad. I think that's going to be really hard to. Is there a library? Did you find a library in the
Aaron
area?
and I just geocached. We didn't really look for anything.
Okay. I don't know that we'll be able to substantiate that, but it's a small location, so it's just going to be me, Kurt, and Jim because he works there and they kind of want him there.
Yeah,
also,
it's-
he's going to let us in the building.
It's basically a very small.
It's a one-room basement.
Yeah.
And then there is a first floor that we can investigate, but it's also still very small.
Yeah.
But
it'll be like a good time to really test out our equipment.
Yep.
To
I got
test
new noise isolating headphones for the
For the Estes method.
I'm going to learn how to use the REM pod better. And also,
Now that we
we're
know
not used to
walkie-talkies
this
set it
equipment.
off.
Yeah, well, we won't need them because this location is so
We
small.
could just be like, hey, Krista.
Exactly. But there's some activity where this safe door that they've described this door as being like this thick. You know, an old
That
time
gave me flashbacks
safe.
from Demota, from
Yes.
us being in the vault.
And that was
a
a really intense experience
you.
for me.
You
I don't know
hated
that I'm
that.
going in this safe. But it
especially
opens
because
and
if it closes accidentally, they can't get in there.
I know.
So I want to put something.
100%.
Yes,
We're blocking
so
that.
we cannot. So the ghost can't be like, huh, sucker. Boom,
Lights
shut
turn
the
on
door.
and off, and there's a vacuum that moves on its own that shouldn't be able to because it like moves up a slope in a way that it shouldn't. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
We're doing that a week from today.
Yep, and we will talk about anything that happens in maybe the next episode.
Yeah. So that's it.
Or the episode after.
Yeah.
The next episode. I'm looking at the next couple episodes. The next episode is going to be a tinfoil hat one,
Okay.
like the gang stalking one,
Ooh,
the
I like those
the MK
episodes.
Ultra one. This one will be a really interesting to me tinfoil hat episode.
Okay.
And then at some point in the next month, I want to do another story of another episode with stories about mimics and doppelgangers and going to the gin because
Could we save that for as close to
That's what I was-
Halloween
that's
as we
what I
can
was
get?
kind of thinking
Because that
of.
would be a great Halloween episode.
and we haven't really talked too much about the gin, and we did talk about them on Brian Young's Transatlantic Ramblings podcast. We talked about the gin.
So you know
Tim
what I just
Schwartz and-
realized?
What?
Jim and I scheduled a weekend away. I never thought to look if that's a recording weekend.
Uh-oh.
It's his birthday weekend. Okay, so we're recording today, the 21st, the 6th. Oh, it won't be that weekend. Okay. Woo.
Okay.
I would love to talk more about mimics and doppelgangers.
Yeah, so maybe
I
we'll
thought
save
I
that.
had a mimic in my house this morning. Kurt scared the bejesus out of me.
You did.
Sorry, I guess we're not done with the first 20 minutes.
No.
I was upstairs looking for SD cards because I had them in my office and I couldn't find them. And I was walking into the kitchen and I heard Kurt say, hello. And I thought it came from like somewhere upstairs, but I'm like, he's not up here. I don't understand. And Lucy was like behind me somewhere. So then I come around the corner and he's right at the top of the basement stairs, and I wasn't expecting
Because I
him
was
to
looking
be
for
there.
because Lucy was crying because I wasn't up there. So then I crawled up the steps, and then all of a sudden Lucy's not there anymore, and I'm like, hello.
Gave
And
me
then
a
you walk
heart
around the corner,
attack.
and I'm like crawling up at the top of the steps.
I was like, I just heard your voice and I didn't know where it came from. It freaked me out.
I played that that thing you posted in the group with the.
Oh, so
I played that for
creepy.
Aaron, and after we played it the first time, he showed me his arm, and it was just like complete. And now he said it really bothers him because he's dealing with health stuff, and he wakes up sometimes in the middle of the night. That's all he can think of is that voice going Bella at the end of that thing and hitting the door. So
yeah, if you're on the Facebook page, you know what I'm talking about. It could 100% be fake, but
I'm 100% convinced it is fake because I
It's
looked at
so
some of their
creepy.
other stuff, and it's so fake.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
the idea behind it that if I heard that, I
Totally.
like people in the group that are like, I don't care what floor I was on, I would be out the window
I'd
if
be
I
burning my house down.
I heard that.
Some context, there's this video on one of the creepy YouTube channels I follow where allegedly this girl's in her room and what sounds like her mom is outside her door saying, Bella, are you in there? And she's like, my mom never talks like this. And she's knocking on the door, Bella, Bella, come out. And then she calls her neighbors apparently. And then the voice changes to this deep, crazy, Bella, I want to meet you. And it turns into this demonic sounding thing. And of course it's fake, but it is so well done that I get the goosebumps
Yep.
just thinking about it.
Yep. So sorry, Aaron. Sorry I gave you trauma from that. Jump into the episode.
Yeah, I still think we're at the 20-minute mark
Okay.
because we had the pre-show stuff.
It's another strange state. We
Woohoo.
are talking about the Mitten State. Again, our neighbor across the lake. Michigan. I love Michigan. I haven't been there a whole lot. I think
I've been to Menominee a bunch of times.
Oh yeah,
'cause
like
that's
Aaron
just
and
north.
I went. We crossed the border to go to geocache, so we could get some geocaches
Through Marinette. You went up like through Marinette.
yeah.
I went to
And
school in
then
Marinette.
We were stunned by the dispensary traffic.
Oh
at the
my
dispensaries
gosh.
up there. It was insane.
When you get north of Green Bay,
Yeah.
every other billboard is a dispensary billboard.
it was just
It's
like
nuts.
Aaron and I are like, oh my. 'cause
Isn't it beautiful up there though?
it is beautiful, but the dispensaries, it's like, wow, this is insane.
Yeah.
But other than that, like I've gone across the lake on the car ferry, the Badger, just to Ludington, and then hung out there for like an hour and a half, then back on the car ferry and back across the lake.
We should check out the Paulding Light, even though we poo-pooed on it. I still want to see it.
I want us to check out some lighthouses. Like there's like haunted lighthouses up there. Anyway, we always start these episodes with some facts about the state, and here are 5 facts about Michigan, and these come from 2 Mental Floss articles, 15 things you might not know about Michigan, and 25 transportable facts about Michigan, and from study.com's Michigan Facts.
What's a transportable fact?
I think because Michigan's like a big transport, like a car manufacturing and stuff like that. That's my guess. Fun fact number 1, and this creeps me out because I don't like these structures. Fun fact number 1, at 5 miles long, the Mackinac Bridge is the longest suspension bridge between anchorages in the Western Hemisphere. The bridge, affectionately known as Mighty Mac, connects the 2 peninsulas. It took 3 years to complete and opened in 1957. At the opening celebration, 83 white convertibles transported beauty queens from every county across the bridge.
Those were the days.
Those were the days. Suspension bridges have to be able to adapt to situations such as changes in wind, temperature, and weight. So the Mackinac Bridge is built to be able to move up to 35 feet east or west.
That's gross.
That is gross. The bridge also does not swing quickly, but moves slowly in the direction the force of the wind is moving. In 2019, over 4 million cars crossed the bridge.
Ugh.
That is insane.
I don't like
bridges.
either.
I don't like long bridges.
Or really high bridges.
No.
They freak me out.
Fun fact number 2, and I never knew this, and I wanted to know how this happened. Fun fact number 2 was the Toledo War. The Toledo War from 1835 to 1836, also known as the Michigan-Ohio War or the Ohio-Michigan War, was a boundary dispute between the U.S. state of Ohio and the adjoining territory of Michigan over what is now known as the Toledo Strip. That sounds like some weird thing.
Did not know.
Control of the mouth of the Maumee River and the inland shipping opportunities it represented and the good farmland to the west were seen by both parties as valuable economic assets. The situation came to a head when Michigan petitioned for statehood in 1835 and sought to include the disputed territory within its borders. Both sides passed legislation attempting to force the other side's capitulation, and Ohio's Governor Robert Lucas and Michigan's 24-year-old boy governor Stephen Mason helped institute criminal penalties for residents submitting to the other's authority. Both states deployed militias on opposite sides of the river near Toledo, but besides mutual taunting, there was little interaction between the 2 forces. The single military confrontation of the war ended with a report of shots being fired into the air, incurring no casualties. The only blood spilled was the non-fatal stabbing of a law enforcement officer. During the summer of 1836, the United States Congress proposed a compromise where Michigan gave up its claim to the Strip in exchange for its statehood and for the remaining 3/4 of the Upper Peninsula. Although the northern region's mineral wealth later became an economic asset to Michigan, at the time the compromise was considered a poor deal for the new state, and voters in statehood convention in September of that year soundly rejected it. In December, facing a dire financial crisis and pressure from Congress and President Andrew Jackson, the Michigan government called another convention called the Frostbitten Convention, which accepted the compromise, resolving the Toledo War and giving the Upper Peninsula to Michigan.
The Frostbitten Convention.
But I never understood why that's part of Michigan when it's basically northern Wisconsin. You know, the UP, you know, but that is why, because of the Toledo War. And I never knew that. It's so weird to me that all of a sudden you're in Michigan.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Because in our heads, you have to cross a lake to get there.
Yeah, yeah.
Or drive through a couple other states.
Yeah, yep. Fun fact number 3, an ancient fungus known as Armillaria gallica was discovered in 1992 in Crystal Falls, Michigan. The 37 acres of living organism could be up to 10,000 years old.
Wow.
An annual festival is held each year in the spore's honor. That's crazy to me.
That is crazy. And they just discovered it in 1992?
Yeah. Yep. An ancient fungus.
Wow.
And they have a festival because it's the Midwest. We have festivals for everything.
Sure. Yes.
Fun fact number 4: the singing I don't know how to pronounce this. The Singing Sands of Bet Gris.
Sure.
This comes from the website, the radio website 99.1. I have a lot of stuff in this episode from that website. It says, in the UP's Keweenaw Peninsula lie the Singing Sands of Bet Gris on Lake Superior. The sands on this beach are said to sing to anyone who visits and walks on the beach. Legends say that the singing comes from the spirit of a Native American maiden who lost her lover when he perished in Lake Superior. Her attempts to contact him are the singing she transmits through the sands. Visitors to the beach are encouraged to help the maiden find her man. Just press the palms of your hands on the sand and rub hard, or just smack the sand with your palm. The noise it emits is like that of a puppy's bark or the rubbing of a balloon. Ew, don't do that.
Okay, I'm sure there's a scientific explanation.
Even though the singing is more of a natural phenomenon rather than a supernatural one, the mysterious part comes when people attempt to take sand from the beach and take it home. Once off the beach, the sand refuses to sing. No other sands along the lake make these sounds except this one, so that's weird. Also, the name Bet Gris translates to gray beast, and it was named after a creature that was spotted and named by Native Americans many years ago. So that's fascinating.
Yeah.
And as always, fun fact number 5, laws, yes, Michigan laws.
That's my favorite part.
In Michigan, it's illegal to own a switchblade knife unless you only have one arm. So
you need that extra protection, I guess.
In Detroit, it is illegal to tie an alligator to a fire hydrant.
Well, duh.
And in Kalamazoo, it is illegal to serenade your partner.
Oh. Isn't that, I just love the name Kalamazoo.
Yeah. And in Harper Woods, Michigan, it's against the law to paint sparrows and sell them as parakeets, which apparently is a thing.
Okay.
And finally, I need a job. So if you're listening to this, Rochester, Michigan, contact me. In Rochester, Michigan, all bathing suits must be inspected by the chief of police. So there you go.
Oh, that's great.
That job has to attract the pervos. I'm 100% sure.
Yeah.
So there are some fun
funny
facts about Michigan. Ready to jump into our cryptids?
I'm ready.
I have an honorable mention, because when I start my superhero group of cryptids, it's going to of course be Squonk and a couple others that I can't think of right now, but this one is definitely going to be up there because I love this one. From the website 99.1. Locals in the village of Amble, Michigan believe that there is a giant green squirrel terrorizing the community.
That was in the teaser picture.
Yes, that was in the teaser picture. This super squirrel is said to be the size of a 1972 Buick and sends fear down spines if it's seen towering over Amble's tallest hill. The chirps, grunts, and squeaks the green squirrel makes can be heard throughout the hills and valleys, and the sound echoes throughout the community. So when is this squirrel seen? According to MichiganLive.com, quote, it's only seen at night when the locals are most likely to be completely tanked.
Okay.
Usually on nights when there's just a slit of moon and the sky is at its darkest. Nobody can agree on the color of the giant squirrel's eyes, as various witnesses say the eyes are either blue, brown, red, or yellow, and on top of that, the fur is green. So pay a visit to Amble some day or night and check it out. There are some really cool old buildings around, as well as a local bar, cemetery church, a truck and trailer repair service, and a one-room schoolhouse, and of course, a monstrous green squirrel. So that is the green squirrel of Amble, Michigan.
The green squirrel.
Yep.
The size of a car.
Yes, a Buick, 1972 Buick.
Okay.
Another honorable mention
go ahead.
is the Ottawa Witch. This comes from 99WFMK.com. Which I think is 99.1. Sometime during the 1800s, a woman was being unfaithful to her husband, meeting her lover out at night while her husband slept. She would quietly sneak out of bed, creep out the door, and keep her illicit rendezvous. Rendezvous? Her husband got suspicious and stayed awake one night in order to catch her in the act, and he did. One night, he was lying in bed pretending to fall asleep, waiting for her to sneak out. When she did, he followed her and saw the two lovers embrace. This drove hubby crazy, and he attacked the two, first killing his wife and then set upon the man. After an extremely gruesome battle between husband and lover, they both wound up dying from their extensive wounds. This all took place in the woods near the cemetery. Over the years, people have claimed to see a woman in white, also called the Ottawa Witch, in the Finley Cemetery area. Others say they have seen bluish-green mist and orbs, hear footsteps and screaming, been physically touched by hands that aren't there, tapped on the shoulder by unseen fingers, and hear the sounds of fighting and a woman weeping. These events usually take place on nights of a full moon, and they don't just happen within the cemetery. Witnesses claim to have seen and heard things in the nearby woods along Honey Creek Avenue and Sideman Park. The description of the woman in white varies. Some say she's a beautiful woman, while others say they've seen her as a horrible-looking, disfigured hag, bearing the gory slashes that she received by her husband. There is a certain gravestone that bears a date of 1870 where visitors leave little gifts, believing it's the grave of the woman in white, but that is unknown. Interest in the Ottawa Witch grew even more when the film The Blair Witch Project was released in 1999. There's no proof that says Findlay Cemetery's woman in white was a witch. It's just the name they gave her. So that is my honorable mentions. That could have been paranormal, but I put it as cryptids because of the witch. Okay, number 5.
See, I don't think of a witch as a cryptid.
Really?
Cryptid to me is part of cryptozoology.
I guess. I just see any kind of creature or being as a cryptid.
I think she's a ghost.
Okay. Well, then we should move her to the haunted
I
section.
am the Bigfoot expert.
You are the Bigfoot
researcher.
expert. We need to put that. We need to figure out how to write that under so anytime you talk, it shows up at the bottom of the screen.
Renowned
Bigfoot expert,
research.
Bigfoot researcher. I love that you made.
Occasionally, I Google Bigfoot stories.
So I'll do my stories. The first one, this is number 5. This is the Melonheads of Allegan County.
Melonhead?
The Melonheads.
Okay.
And this comes from a website that I don't know, but it's going to be in the show notes because I sent that to Krista. It's the Michigan legend of the Melonhead children who live in the woods near Saugatuck and Holland. Long ago, there was a hospital that was treating children suffering from water on the brain, a condition called hydrocephalus that causes large swelled heads. One story says that due to lack of funding, the hospital shut down and the children had nowhere to go but into the woods to survive, and they live in the woods and the nearby Felt Mansion. Another story says that the children all lived in the mansion at one time and suffered abuse at the hands of their doctor. Having tolerated enough, the children murdered the doctor and proceeded to dismember his corpse. They figured it would be easier to hide small pieces of the body rather than a whole one, so they got rid of the parts by throwing, hiding, and burying them throughout the mansion grounds.
This all sounds made up.
Afterward, they left the mansion and began dwelling in underground caves that were left over from an old abandoned zoo. The Felt Mansion is believed to be haunted this day by the Melonheads, and others have sworn they have seen these strange children in the woods. So that is
I call urban legend on that one.
What hospital is going to be like, well, we're shutting down.
You can go live in the woods.
Go live in the
now.
woods. Yeah, we're out of here. But people do swear that they've seen like creepy kids in the woods. I don't know if it's the Melonheads.
I don't know.
I love the Melonheads. I have some of their CDs.
Melonheads?
Evandando. That's a
Oh.
Lemonheads.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
But yeah, so I agree. I think it's an urban legend. I don't really buy. So now Krista does the next story.
The Nain Rouge.
The Nain Rouge.
This is from visitdetroit.com. The legend of the Nain Rouge weaves a tale from the early days when Detroit was founded by Antoine de la Motte Cadillac.
That's why I gave you that one. I didn't
Thank
want to
you.
read that name.
In the 1700s. I got Cadillac, right?
You got Cadillac, right?
While attending a party in Quebec, a fortune teller warned Cadillac of a future encounter with the demon on his next adventure. I was going to ask if you had a tango with a demon. You have 3 scratches on your arm.
We won't talk about that. I unleashed a haunted object in my apartment.
And you don't want to talk about it?
Actually, it was my friend Miranda's dog. The dog was very happy to see me and jumped kind of like Lucy.
Yeah.
Jumped all
she
over
hasn't
me.
Injured you yet, has she?
No, Lucy has
Okay,
not injured me. But that's where the claw marks. This did not happen from a crawling guy out of my bathroom.
Okay, good.
No, this was from a dog.
Okay. She stated Cadillac needed to appease the monster with flattery, and his reward would be discovering a city that would rival ones in France. If he disrespected the fiend, misfortune would darken his life. Cadillac sailed out on his mission the next day and eventually established Fort
Pontchartrain.
Thank you.
Fort Pontchartrain
du Detroit on the western bank of the Detroit River. The fort prospered for years until one night someone spotted the Nain Rouge. When Cadillac ran into the creature, instead of paying him respect, he smacked the monster with his cane and told him, "Get out of my way, you red imp." So gay.
I need to add "get out of my way, you red imp" as things that I just say to random people on the sidewalk when I'm walking downtown.
When you smack him with your cane.
Smack him with my cane. "Get out of my way, you red imp."
The Nain Rouge's cackling laughter pierced the air as the demon slipped away into the inky darkness, and doom shrouded the arrogant Cadillac. His superiors removed the founder from his illustrious post and shipped him to Louisiana, which he considered a wretched place. Well, I'm sorry, Louisiana.
Yeah, between me dissing them and this, because remember, I badmouthed Louisiana pretty good in that one episode.
Well, now people know because you didn't say.
Oh, that's right, we didn't say.
Bad-mouthing.
The state that I was badmouthing was Louisiana, and I've only been through it once or twice, and it was actually not. It's just it gave me a weird vibe, like I
I said I wanted to go to New Orleans, and Kurt went on a rant.
It did go on a
I
rant.
was like, whoa.
But like I said, when we moved Natalie up from Texas and I had the U-Haul, I pulled under the overhang, and turns out I didn't have enough room, and I smacked the overhang at the hotel.
Okay, this sounds like a Kurt problem, not a Louisiana
No,
problem.
I told them inside, and they just like, "Psh, don't worry about it." So that was cool for Louisiana.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm sorry, Louisiana. I'm sorry I badmouthed you. I have not spent enough time there. Just remember, it smelled like a swamp, and it was really humid.
Yeah, we'll hear about it in the comments.
Oh God, yeah. There went about 100 listeners.
So they shipped him to Louisiana to live with his family, later returning to France, where he was briefly imprisoned and eventually lost his fortune. Why was he imprisoned? What's going on? Over the decades, the Nain Rouge has been spotted at catastrophes faced by Detroit, including 1763's Battle of Bloody Run, the 1805 fire. Oh my gosh, I've been up since 2:30, people.
Yeah, I've been up since 2:30.
The 1960s riots and the blizzard of 1976. It's a great year, by the way. When two city workers spotted what they thought was a child climbing a utility pole shortly before the blizzard ravaged the city. It's like their own Mothman.
It is.
This has led to a supposedly 300-year annual tradition on the Sunday after the vernal equinox, where Detroiters gather for a march to drive the Nain Rouge from the city and to burn it in effigy. After the parade, head to the Masonic Temple for an after party.
Yeah, I've seen pictures of it. It looks really fun, actually. Like they have the effigy of the Nain Rouge, and then they go to party at the Masonic Temple.
I mean, it's just a Tuesday night in
It
Detroit. I guess.
It is. Number 3 is Mishapeshu and Pressy. Mishapeshu is an Ojibwe water creature, also known as the underwater panther. The creature is also affiliated with the Algonquin, Ottawa, Menominee, Shawnee, and Cree tribes. Mishapeshu dwells in the depths of Lake Superior, the largest, cleanest, and wildest of all the Great Lakes. I don't know if I've ever really seen Lake Superior.
I have. It's beautiful.
Is
it's
it?
Huge.
In terms of surface area, Lake Superior is the biggest lake in the world. That surprises me.
It is. It dwarfs Lake Michigan.
Yeah. Mishapeshu is an
We're both
having a hard time today.
We're co-piloting the struggle bus
Mishapeshu
today.
is a mixture of many different animal parts, sort of like a Frankenstein's monster of all the animals you might find in the Great Lakes region. He's said to have the head and paws of an enormous cat, the horns of a bison, the scaly body of a snake or the feathered body of a bird, a spiky back and tail, and any other number of contrasting characteristics.
It looks like those socks, that sock you got with the chupacabra, because I've never seen a chupacabra look like that.
It does. Mishapeshu is able to cause storms, waves, and whirlpools. This water spirit travels through underwater tunnels, speaking in a roaring hiss that sounds like rushing water, which you would pretty much always hear in.
It could just be rushing water.
It could just be rushing water. As mythology goes, Mishapeshu causes violent waters that wreak havoc on those unlucky enough to be in the lake when his temper strikes. He is able to break the ice in winter so that people fall through and drown. The creature passes time by causing death and misfortune to those who awaken his fury, guarding copper on Michopicoten Island, and generating powerful storms. He's usually considered a malevolent being, but if travelers offer him tobacco, he might allow them safe passage over the lake. So he's a smoker. He is a smoker. Mishapeshu and other water-dwelling beings are generally considered bad-natured, though this is not always the case. They're cunning and tricky, but they can be helpful too, depending on the creature's mood that day. So then that brings us to Pressy. Pressy is supposedly Mishapeshu's neighbor in Lake Superior. It's also a snake-like water monster, but lacks Mishapeshu's cat-like features. Pressy is known for its extra-long body, which might measure over 100 feet, and it's thought to lay coiled at the bottom of the lake until it's disturbed. But some people think that they are the same creature, but people have reported seeing water creatures like this on Lake Superior. So there's a lot of argument whether or not Pressy is actually Mishapeshu or not, but I don't know. I couldn't find any really good foot. There was one film I saw of it, but it was like your typical
Nessie,
shaky, and it could be a log floating in the water taken from like half a mile away. And it's like, I don't know. I think that's not in the teaser. The one in the teaser is a different creature. But I don't know. So I just don't get into water monsters.
I don't either.
I don't know what it is. Like,
I'm not at all that interested in Nessie.
No. You're more of a Bigfoot enthusiast. But yeah, I'm not into Nessie. Like I'm not into lake monsters. I suppose if I saw one, I would change my tune.
Maybe.
But so that's Mishapeshu.
I'd never go on the water again.
And Pressy. No. Next is you. Save this one for you.
Thank you. According
because
to,
you are a researcher.
Yeah, I am a world-renowned Bigfoot researcher. I'm doing Bigfoot. According to the BFRO, Michigan is 8th in states with the most Bigfoot sightings.
I didn't realize that Michigan was
It doesn't really surprise me, though, because they are very much a North Woods type of
Yeah, but so are
state.
we. So why are we?
We
like,
have sightings.
not as many as Michigan.
No.
So I'm a little jealous of Michigan's Bigfoot sightings.
From a report on the BFRO website. So this is somebody's personal story.
If you like,
it's really cool. I've been to it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you like Bigfoot and have time to kill, just go to the BFRO website, click on a state, and then you can just read through all the. And these people like follow up. Like if somebody sends them a story, they go
they
and interview the people. They go to the area. Like it's actually super.
How do I get in on that?
It's super impressive. So if you're into Bigfoot, BFRO website.
Yeah, it's serious stuff.
Yep.
Okay, so this person says, I had reported earlier, Michigan Report number 808, about sightings I had when I was in high school. In October of 2003, I was home on leave from Korea. I'm an officer in the Army, currently a lieutenant colonel, but at the time of this report, I am submitting a captain. My dad and I were planning on doing a lot of bow hunting while I was home and got 2 areas set up. A bow stand for me and my dad sat in the ground blind he used for rifle season. The location is near Manistee, Michigan, east of North Custer Road and north of East Custer Road. Over the course of 4 mornings, we entered the woods approximately 1 hour before daylight set in and let things calm down. The first morning, October 11th, 2003, we moved in and split up to our positions. I was on my stand, settled in, and immediately heard 3 distinct knocks. From the north of where we were, farther north, I heard an answer. There was a cabin to the west, and I figured it was those guys, as they are usually up on weekends for hunting. However, the next 3 mornings, I heard this sound again after we entered the woods. However, the returns changed location, 2 coming from directly east and 1 generally northeast. I took this as some sort of signal, but felt it may be the large woodpeckers that are common in the area. Except you didn't have the normal rapid drilling pounding you normally equate to woodpeckers. However, after finding Bigfoot, I now equate those wood knocks that were signaling our presence. I now equate these 2 wood knocks that were signaling. Maybe I should put my glasses on.
Maybe.
The sounds ceased after the final morning of knocks. I returned for solo hunts and again with my dad with no repeat of sounds. Okay, glasses are going on. That probably won't improve things. It's my mouth that's the problem, actually. In October of 2004, I moved my stand east of where I was hunting into the edge of pines and used this to overwatch a trail system. I'd gotten into the stand without incident, was set about an hour after first light, 8:30 a.m., when I heard a garbled sound close to the gibberish I heard on Bigfoot sounds and running.
That is a big no for me. Like I hate
the gibberish.
I hate the what are they called? Or the samurai chatter.
The samurai chatter.
I hate the samurai chatter. That just creeps me out.
North in the pines. When a doe bounded through the pines, stopped 10 yards in front of me, breathing heavily, and kept staring north of her. The gibberish and movement kept coming, then it sounded like a quick sound like, huh, then silence. What I then heard was the sound of similar to something sniffing deeply, and then slow movement towards the northeast and east of me. I mean, you could explain that as a bear except for the gibberish.
Yeah, bears aren't known for their samurai chatter.
Yeah. As this began, the doe moved quickly past me to the southwest. I'm all turned around now with their directions, but eyes really big. The sniffing ended, but the movement seemed to remain. Slow, deliberate movement, but you could hear twigs snap periodically. I don't think bears are all that stealthy, though. For 2 nights after that incident, while in my stand, I felt I was being watched and circled, hearing slow movement, especially just before dark, to my northeast and east, then to the south of me, where whatever it was seemed to be curious, as I was in a stand and not really seen, had shelled corn off the trail for bait, and it knew I was there, knew something was around, but couldn't see me. It was too loud for a deer, but big enough to be heard. I had my stand against a big pine, with a larger pine really masking me. Deer are like the quietest things in the woods. I have pictures of me in the stand after I put it up and can provide those for a reference. Also noticed, post muzzleloader season in December 2004, after I officially returned from Korea, we went to that spot to discharge our muzzleloaders. There was snow, and as we moved into the opening along the eastern edge of the pines were large tracks, single file, that went north to south. The distance between tracks was much larger than my stride extended as far as I could. They were deep in the snow, large area, but not readable or discernible because of the snowfall, slight melting.
Yeah, that's weird. That I don't know.
Sometimes that can happen with bear though. It's like a double step.
Yeah.
Like they step in
Yeah.
the back foot steps in the front foot, and it looks like a bipedal footprints when it's actually just
like I said, I've gotten way more accepting of Bigfoot since we started the podcast because there's just so many
Gives
reports.
me so much satisfaction.
I know it does. I figured you'd like that. And number one cryptid, when you talk about Michigan, it's the number one. It is the Michigan Dogman.
Dogman. That's a fascinating topic.
It is. That's what's in the teaser picture, the really small, grainy, like you can barely see what it was. And if I'm right, I get to it, that video might have been faked. I don't remember. Described as a bipedal creature with the head of a dog and the body of a man, the Dogman cryptid roams northern Michigan wilderness.
Yeah, what is that? That could be a tree stump for all we know.
100%. The Dogman roams the northern Michigan wilderness, appearing every 10 years on years ending with a 7. I think that's interesting, is that it shows up every 10 years
on years
ending with a 7.
Okay.
The Dogman was allegedly first spotted by a pair of lumberjacks in the late 19th century. And while there's no concrete proof that this creature exists, Dogman sightings have seemingly only increased since the 1800s. Whether the Michigan Dogman is an ancient ancestor of wolves, a paranormal entity, or the product of a harmless prank remains unclear, but the alleged encounters are genuinely chilling. By some accounts, the Michigan Dogman was known to Native Americans long before white settlers first spotted it. Legend has it that the beast once terrorized local tribes along the Manistee River. Some of these tales describe it as a skinwalker, a shapeshifter capable of transforming into a beast and back. This is all from the All That Is Interesting website, by the way. I don't know if I said that. According to Linda Godfrey's 2019 book called, quote, I Know What I Saw, the Manistee National Forest has become the main stomping ground of the Dogman. Many encounters described in her book show the creature capably barreling through the forest from tree to tree, even in frosty weather. Godfrey writes, quote, unusual circumstances seem to rule this set of encounters. Local historians say the forest around the site are filled with hidden Native American burials. The remains of hundreds of men, women, and children were hastily interred here after 1642, after a large invading force of a branch of Iroquois massacred the resident Potawatomi tribe. Some researchers believe that large-scale traumatic events imprint themselves not only on the psyche of survivors, but on something in the landscape itself, resulting in tales of haunted places and ghostly animals. She continues, adding that Gettysburg similarly has been the site of numerous sightings after the Civil War, which is very true. The first modern Michigan Dogman encounter is alleged to have occurred in 1887. Then, a group of lumberjacks working in Wexford County spotted what they believed was a stray dog. The men chased it until it hid inside a hollow log. That poor dog.
Right.
Then one of the men grabbed a stick and reached into the log to poke at the creature. What a jerk. Julie Albrecht Royce details this encounter in her 2007 book, quote, Traveling Michigan Sunset Coast. She writes, the creature let out an unearthly scream, crawled out of the log, and stood upright. There, face to face and eye to eye with the men, stood a creature with a man's body and a dog's head. The terrified men broke camp and never returned to the area. From then on, the beast has made an appearance about every 10 years. Sure enough, the next reported Dogman encounter in the area occurred exactly a decade later. In 1897, a farmer was allegedly found dead over his plow near the town of Buckley, with enormous dog tracks around his body, and some people believe that the Michigan Dogman was behind the fatal attack. A decade later, a local widow spoke of dogs who, quote, yelled like banshees outside her house at night. And in 1917, a sheriff allegedly came upon a driverless wagon whose horses lay dead with their eyes wide open in terror. Royce writes that a veterinarian was called to examine the animals but could not find a medical explanation for the horse's death. Across the board, the details of alleged Dogman encounters are fairly consistent. Many witnesses maintain that the creature is 7 feet tall and has blue or amber eyes, a human torso, and a murderous scream. I don't want to run into this thing. Michigan History Center Representative Rachel Clark told NPR affiliate Michigan Public in 2019 that even the circumstances of the sightings are fairly consistent. They say, quote, the early reports are usually of men working in the woods who encounter this beast during their time there. And then over the years, a lot of times people who are alone again, either on isolated roads or the woods, she says. Their encounters are frighteningly similar, though. They do talk about the beast coming out of the woods. It's very agile. It jumps in front of their car or in front of them and scratches at their house or on their tents. In another encounter from 2016, so that's kind of throwing off the ending in 7 thing.
Yeah, that's true.
A Michigander identified only as, quote, Brad, claimed that he was shoveling snow when he, quote, heard a loud splash in the creek, some 25 yards away. He scanned the woodline and saw a pair of yellow/amber eyes belonging to a creature standing 7 or 8 feet tall. The creature then took off and leapt into the air. He said, quote, all I heard for the next few seconds was the treetops clanging against one another. It was like it rode the treetops. These reports appear to not have slowed down in recent years. In fact, the Dogman subreddit boasts over 24,000 members dedicated to analyzing reports of the Michigan Dogman. A number of alleged witnesses have also written to Mysterious Michigan to share their Dogman stories. One user writes that they were driving down a dark road in Waterford, Michigan late one night, and they saw a mangy creature cross the road and run into the woods. The alleged witness says, quote, this was no normal dog. If it was a coyote, then it was the biggest coyote I've ever seen. This was much bigger, it had a huge head, and looked like it just crawled out of the deepest pits of hell. However, it's possible that these modern Dogman sightings are nothing more than part of a prank. In 1987, Traverse City radio DJ Steve Cook recorded a song about the Dogman, a half-man, half-dog monster he believed he'd made up. The track, called, quote, The Legend of the Dogman, aired on the radio on April 1st as part of an April Fool's Day prank. But when Michiganders heard it, several of them called in to report encounters they'd allegedly had with this monster. As Cook researched the legend he thought he'd invented, he learned it actually did have a history, which made it creepier for all of us involved.
When was this?
That was 1987.
Oh, So pre-internet, so
Yeah.
Dogman wouldn't have been as well known.
Yep. Cook says, quote, I made it up completely from my own imagination as an April Fool's prank for the radio and stumbled my way into a legend that goes back all the way to Native American times. I'm tremendously skeptical, but I do believe people who think they saw something really did see something. Cook told Huffington Post in 2012 that he's since received over 500 reports of Michigan Dogman sightings, one of which was from a woman who allegedly saw the creature as a teenager in 1993 one night while smoking behind her family's home near Reed City. The girl noticed some light coming from an abandoned barn nearby. When she looked through the planks of the wall of the barn, she allegedly saw a monstrous bipedal creature with the head of a dog looking back out at her. That would be creepy. The Dogman story only became more complicated when a mysterious video known as the Gable film surfaced on the internet in 2007. Captured on 8mm film, the vintage-looking footage initially seemed like an innocent home video of a winter spent in a wooded area. Various cuts show people riding snowmobiles through a snowy forest or chopping wood. Another clip shows a dog roaming a tree-lined road, sniffing around, and then appearing to perk up at something he hears in the distance. Then, in the final clip, the cameraman spots a strange, hairy creature in the woods, begins to follow it. When he finally gets a clear shot of it, the beast suddenly lunges at him. The film blurs as the cameraman frantically runs away. We see a flash of pointed teeth, and then the camera clatters to the ground as the monster presumably catches his prey. That's where the little...
Have you seen it?
That's where the footage... Yeah. That's where the footage is. That picture of what you said could be just a log in the woods. As the Gable film made its rounds on the internet, many speculated that the hairy creature seen in the footage was the Michigan Dogman itself. Eventually, a man named Mike Argusa confessed to creating the Gable film, acknowledging that it was indeed fake. The Michigan Dogman tale has thus ironically spawned myths of his own, as legends about the making of these films and songs have sent obsessives down new rabbit holes. Of course, it's possible that the monstrous creatures people are allegedly seeing are simple, ordinary creatures like bears standing on their hind legs. However, Rachel Clark said she is reluctant to dismiss witnesses' claims. She says, quote, for a long time, there were stories of large cats in Michigan that were sort of dismissed, and now we have cougar sightings. So I'm not saying there's a dogman that's going to show up. However, who knows what's living in the forests of Michigan? So that's number one. That's like the Michigan Dogman is a huge thing, and I've been to that subreddit, and it's really interesting, but I don't know what I think of it.
So I feel like I always need to mention this when we talk about Dogman. Not that we talk about Dogman a lot, but we have a listener. I can't remember her name, but she was a guest on Tony Merkel's podcast.
I forgot all about that. Yep.
The Confessionals.
Yep.
And she tells a story that happened years ago of being trapped in her home when something was like stalking her and her family outside, and it was up on the roof, and it is chilling.
Yeah.
I think you could just Google The Confessionals Dogman and you'll find it, and it is Such a good episode. But I believe she listens to our show.
It's just I think I have listened to her story on there. It's just it's really interesting, but I don't know. I feel like a dog or some kind of woodland creature is very easy to mistake as a dog man.
Yeah.
You know, like I kind of believe that bears could be mistaken for Bigfoot. And vice versa. And
maybe it's that whole interdimensional thing that people believe.
I
Bigfoot
100% buy the interdimensional thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that makes sense to me. And I think we'll talk about that a little more when we start talking about jinns and stuff like that, about popping in and messing with people and popping out. But it almost seems like that's the reasonable explanation of why these things show up and then all of a sudden they're gone. You know, and I love that Michigan has its own cryptid. I mean, the Michigan dog man is like a famous one.
Oh, yeah.
What time are we looking at?
Oh, I haven't even looked at the... we're just hitting an hour. So
we're good. We are very good. So there are cryptids. Of course, my favorite of these is the giant green squirrel. I would love to run into that in the woods.
I feel like it needs a name.
It does. I did like what AI did for the teaser picture with the really friendly looking squirrel holding a giant acorn, apparently. But so that's it for cryptids for Michigan. There's a bunch more, but those are like the biggies that I could find. I'm fascinated by the melonhead children. Don't really buy it though.
No.
So now we get into hauntings / weird places. I would love to visit all of these. I really would, especially number one, which you and I talked about visiting.
Mackinac.
Yep. Yeah, like I'll get into it when I talk about it.
It was cool hearing Greg and Dana talk about their experiences on Mackinac.
Yeah, yep. So I actually have 7 of these.
Wow.
So yeah, we have quite a few. Number 7 is the Holly Hotel. And this comes from the website rollersongirlstravel.com. The Holly Hotel, also known as the Hearst Hotel, was built in 1891 right on the Flint and Holly railroad lines. I'm not sure what town this is in, actually. I should really have that in here, but I don't know if I do. As a railroad inn, the Holly Hotel saw a tremendous amount of traffic in travelers and salesmen staying overnight, meets and demonstrations in the public rooms, and a formal Sunday dinner in the dining room attended by travelers and locals alike. The north part of the hotel faces Battle Alley, where the street was named after the numerous saloon fights and injuries that happened in the street. In 1908, and we could do a whole article about her because she's fascinating. In 1908, Carrie Nation came to Holly with a massive group of pro-temperance supporters who clubbed patrons with their umbrellas, and she herself broke whiskey bottles in the hotel bar with an axe she always carried.
Wow.
Yeah, she did not like drinking. We should do a side sessions about her because
that would be a good side
she's
session.
fascinating. Yeah. This was all because the Holly Hotel proprietor would not condemn the drinking habits of his patrons. In honor of this crazy act of defiance, the Holly Hotel honors Miss Nation with reenactments and discounts on drinks at the bar every year. The Holly Hotel has survived through 2 fires, 2 world wars, the Great Depression, the fall of the railroad as a mode of frequent transportation, and the decline of the surrounding town. After the second fire, the hotel was restored carefully to its former glory with over $500,000 in renovations. It has persevered and in 1980 was put on the National Register of Historic Places. It is one of the few on the list that has ever served food continuously for 3 separate centuries. That's crazy that it's 3 centuries of serving food. It's said that it served as a speakeasy during Prohibition and may have been a brothel for a while. Those two always seem to go hand in hand.
I feel like all old hotels and bars were brothels at one point.
Elsing's was
totally.
in Stoughton. It's said that when they were doing some work on the basement, they found a hidden tunnel that went to a nearby brothel. The fascinating, sad part of the Holly Hotel's history is that there have been 2 fires devastating the hotel. Both of the tragic fires occurred on the same day, January 19th, and within the same exact hour, 65 years apart, destroying a significant portion of the hotel both times. That's crazy.
That is weird.
That both fires were on January 19th and within the same hour. According to the Fox 2 Detroit website, quote, while many paranormal encounters have been reported at the Holly Hotel, several are attributed to certain people. Guests and employees often smell cigar smoke and perfume. The cigar smell is believed to have come from John Hearst, who built the hotel in 1891 because it was originally called the Hearst Hotel. People have also reported seeing Hearst and hearing him laughing. The perfume is believed to be from a woman named Nora Kane. A young girl is also believed to haunt the hotel. According to the hotel, it may be Kane's daughter or a girl who died after she was hurt in a stable where the parking lot is now. The child ghost is rumored to hang around in the kitchen and on the banquet room stairs, and it's said that the child ghost loves to play with and move the meat cleaver and other utensils in the kitchen. I don't know if I want
Maybe
a ghost
leave the meat cleaver
that
alone.
messes around with a meat cleaver. And the hotel said that the young girl ghost actually appeared during a 1990 seance. The Hearst dog, Leona, is also believed to bark, run through the halls, and brush against people. I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I'm
I
okay
like
with
that.
Yeah,
That one made me smile.
I'm much better with the dog ghost than I am with the
Yes.
young girl with
The
a meat cleaver. Yeah. Also, there have been sightings of an Indian in full gear sighted in the dining room. And this comes directly from the hotel website. I love hotels that, they don't advertise as being haunted, but they have sections on their website that talk about what people have seen there. And I feel like that gives a lot of credibility when the hotel actually talks about like stuff without like advertising it like crazily. So this is from the hotel website. Other materializations are most often encountered at the top of the stairs or in the Carrie Nation banquet room, although Hearst may be seen anywhere in the hotel and has even been noted to lurk in the basement of the hotel, which was once home to the tonsorial parlor. I looked it up, and I think that meant like a haircut, like a beautician thing. Because I didn't know what tonsorial meant.
No.
Disembodied voices. Laughter seems to be the most common version of a manifestation of the Hearst voice, a faint baritone laughter that resounds throughout the hotel. He's also been known to speak on occasion, although not often directly to the listeners. Nora Kane. Nora Kane's ghost is described as a petite, beautiful lady. Nora seems to be the hostess of the house. From historical accounts, Miss Kane had a love of music and seems to still enjoy playing a good melody now and again. Her spirit is frequently encountered, and she has materialized mostly in photographs, especially wedding photographs from weddings held at the hotel. Her portrait is displayed in the restaurant's main lobby. Perfume. Nora's most common haunting is one that appeals to your sense of smell. This may, in fact, be one of the most common hauntings in the entire house. Her perfume is described as a sweet, flowery scent that can be picked up in any room of the house, although the scent is most common in the turret area of the main bar. Materializations. Nora's ghost is seen most often in the bar and back hallway, which once was the main entrance to the Holly Hotel. She is most often described as slim and graceful, not often complete, but cutting off around the knees. She always is wearing one of her beautiful dresses. In life, Mrs. Kane loved music, and she carried that love into the afterlife. She can be heard playing the piano. If you suddenly hear music drifting throughout the house, more than likely it's Nora treating you to a song. Speaking of songs, Nora was also a very good singer, and her soft singing can sometimes be distantly heard throughout the different dining rooms late at night. She has been known to ask people standing near the piano to play a song for her. Her voice can also be heard throughout the house. I think that place sounds fascinating.
Yeah.
I would love, love, love to stay at the Holly Hotel.
Me too.
But yeah, the Carrie Nation stuff where they would go in and just smash all the liquor bottles because they were so anti-drinking is just crazy. And a quick aside for that, I'd say if we do a side session, but I have a book at home on college pranks, and we talked about the Caltech, MIT pranks and stuff like that. And one of the schools, I don't remember what it was, when Carrie Nation came to see them, they all really wanted their picture taken with her. And back then, it was dark and the picture would flash. Mm-hmm. So they set up the picture with all of them standing with her. And when the lights went out, they all pulled out beer bottles and stuff like that. And they edited the picture to make it look like she's got a cigarette and is blowing smoke rings. And she was so mad that they did this to her because this was way back in like the 1920s or 30s
they
or
could
whenever.
Edit pictures back then?
Yes. Yeah. They had to actually draw on the pictures.
Okay.
But it looks like they're all partying with her and she's blowing a smoke ring.
That's hilarious.
And she was wild about that.
I can imagine.
But I would just love to visit this place. This has become one of my bucket list places, and it's in Michigan, so it's probably not too far away, but I would love to stay at the Holly Hotel.
You have to drive all the way around the lake, though. That can turn into a very long drive.
Yes, it can. But we still want to go to Mackinac Island, don't we? Like, I especially want to, after we get to number one on my list, spoiler, But you're the next one, number 6.
Okay. River Raisin National Battlefield Park.
For some reason, I never think of like Michigan having a battlefield
Nope,
park.
me either.
I always think of like southern states
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Gettysburg,
Right.
Stuff like that. I
agree.
never think of Michigan having that.
No. From hauntedrooms.com. One of the biggest battles of 1812 happened in River Raisin. 850 American troops in the settlement were attacked by 500 British forces and 500 Native Americans. 300 of the American troops were killed. Wow.
I know. That's
a lot.
crazy.
And many more were wounded. James Winchester, an American brigadier general.
Brigadier.
Brigadier general was even captured by the British. Only 33 of his 1,000 men were able to escape the battlefield with their lives.
That's crazy. That's so many people died.
American soldiers that were wounded in the battle with the British and were unable to defend themselves were killed by the Native Americans in what is now known as the River Raisin Massacre. The number of dead among the alliance of the Native Americans and the British is unknown. Over 500 U.S. soldiers were killed. The battlefield site has been listed as a Michigan Historic Site since the 18th of February, 1956. The current park has 40 acres of land on Monroe's east side, which is still underdeveloped. Currently, the park is being developed to meet the standards necessary of the National Park Service. Oh, Lucy's whining.
Poor Lucy.
At the top
I
of the
heard her.
stairs.
My girl.
According to the 99.1 WFMK website, this was the deadliest battle of the War of 1812, and it saw over 500 American soldiers killed right here in Michigan. As recent as the year 2000, scattered human remains were found in the vicinity, which helps reinforce the haunted battlefield legend. Paranormal teams have held investigations at the River Raisin National Battlefield Park using objects of the time, early 1800s, like music and other items, to coax some spirits into appearing or to communicate. Some people have claimed to photograph ghostly figures on the field, in doorways and in windows, and others claim to have heard and recorded cries of pain and agony on the field.
Battlefields are creepy.
Just the energy.
Yeah, like such.
I
there's
can't-
got to be
the
such
bloodshed.
amazing energy there. Like not like dark energy, like misery
Yeah.
energy.
Yeah.
Paranormal investigators have had a field day with this place. Nice pun. Years before it even became a public park. Ghost Hunters of Southern Michigan says this place is a, quote, paranormal investigator's dream come true, and they have the pictures of apparitions as well as EVPs of ghostly voices to prove their point. But not just do paranormal investigators experience ghosts. Everyday visitors to the park have their own stories to tell. Orbs, nighttime glowing lights, and apparitions of soldiers reportedly have been seen by visitors.
I've seen some impressive orbs, but I think
I can't poo-poo them
99.9% of
Right.
orbs are dust or pollen or
I
something.
agree. Who have also captured ghostly voices on tape. Richard Ellison of Dead Serious Paranormal in Monroe is quoted in MonroeNews.com saying, quote, I could still notice my surroundings, but what I was seeing is very hard to describe. I could hear screaming and loud chant-like noises, but my vision was a blur. It was like watching something while being underwater. I remember snapping out of it, but I don't know how long I was doing this. He believes the feelings of a dead soldier invaded his mind as visions of battle entered his brain. Many other eyewitness accounts abound, even by casual passersby who happened to notice strange goings-on within the former battlefield, including sightings of a girl wearing a flowing white dress, because what other color would it be, wandering the battlefields, possibly in search of a lost loved one who lost his life on the battle.
What if they're all the same being? What if the
There's
the
just
lady
one
in white
woman
is
in
just
white,
one,
and she just
really
wanders
gets
the
around.
earth.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, like battlefields.
She really gets around.
Well, battlefields, like the idea of investigating a battlefield creeps me out because I feel like it's like an insane asylum where there's so much
death.
crazy energy and
Yeah.
death and stuff just flying around. So it gets crazy.
I agree.
Number 5 is the Whitney. This comes from hauntyjohns.net.
Haunty Johns. I like
Johns. The 22,000 square foot Whitney mansion. That's big, isn't it?
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
22,000 square feet. Yes.
Your house is like 20,000 probably.
Or 1,600 or
Oh,
something like
okay.
that.
The 22,000 square foot Whitney mansion was built in 1894 by David Whitney Jr. and is located in Detroit.
I feel like I've heard of this place.
It's estimated to have cost $400,000, which translates to $9.5 million in today's money, and has
Wow.
had a further $11 million spent on furniture and the interior. It's a grand building with many supernatural stories to tell. David Whitney Jr.'s wife died during the house's construction, and he went on to marry her sister, who also died in the house. Is that weird to marry?
I was just making a face like,
Is that weird to marry the sister of the person you were married to when they
I
died?
I feel like it happened more often than we realize.
But I feel like we just talked about that in
I do
another
too.
case, so I don't know. It was the house in
Platteville.
Platteville,
right?
yes. So it just always strikes me as weird, you know. He went on to marry her sister, who also died in the house. Just 4 years after the house was complete, David then died in the house, and his ghost is one of the most commonly cited.
Wow.
The mansion went from being in a nice location on the outskirts of the city until the population and boundaries of Detroit expanded and there was an explosion of mass production. This led to the mansion being given to the Wayne County Medical Society a few years later. The Wayne County Medical Society turned the mansion into a hospice for tuberculosis patients, which has added to the body count within its walls and fueled ghostly rumors. Like it wasn't bad enough that they all died in the house, and now it becomes a tuberculosis hospital, you know. From AmericasHauntedRoadTrips.com, located on Woodward Avenue, just a few blocks from the campus of Wayne State University and Detroit's Cultural Center, the Whitney was once one of the city's oldest and most beautiful private residences. Now it is one of the city's finest and most beautiful restaurants. There are 20 fireplaces throughout the house, a secret vault hidden in the original dining room, and an elevator, a haunted elevator, according to stories. In addition to the beautiful dining rooms on the main floor, there are outdoor gardens that host parties all summer long and the bar up on the third floor. Sounds great. When I spoke to David, one of the many wonderful staff members, I asked him if he ever had any unusual experiences while working there or if maybe any of his coworkers have seen or heard anything out of the ordinary. He told me, quote, "We have a lot of the usual stuff, I guess. Doors sometimes shut by themselves, and one woman who used to work here told me that she was walking through the Great Hall when one of the crystals from one of the chandeliers fell right at her feet and shattered. It kind of freaked her out a bit. One of the most haunted places in the building is said to be the elevator, especially when it opens up on the second floor. Not only did David Whitney Jr. pass away in the house, but his wife Sarah also died there. Numerous employees have reported that the elevator will start moving on its own and that the doors open and close without anyone pushing a button." Sounds to me more like
Why are
electrical.
elevators always?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It does. Is it just malfunctioning?
I meandered up the stairs to the third floor to visit the aptly named Ghost Bar. The bar wasn't open yet, but the bartender was setting up. He gave me a friendly hello and asked how I was doing. I answered, "I'm doing great, thanks," and I told him I was writing a book about haunted places and that naturally the Whitney had come up. The bartender smiled and said, quote, "As long as you remember that everything I tell you is hearsay, that nothing's official, I have a couple stories for you if you have a second and are interested." He told me that the first incident had occurred during a wedding in which the entire mansion had been rented out. He says, quote, the way they run it is pre-dinner drinks are up here, then they serve dinner downstairs, and then we reopen the bar for post-dinner drinks. There weren't very many children at this wedding, but there was this one little girl. She was maybe 5 or 6, and she kept running around, and she didn't want to sit still. Her mom asked me if I'd mind keeping an eye on her for a few minutes so she could go downstairs to get something to eat. Everyone else had gone downstairs by then, and
This is the bartender?
Yeah. Everyone else went downstairs by then, and I didn't really mind, so I said sure and let the mom go
That's
downstairs. Weird. What, leaving your daughter with a bartender?
Yeah.
I left a little... Why? He's not going to...
How do you know?
Yeah, I don't know. He's a bartender.
I think it's weird.
It's not like
he
he's
tends
going to...
bar, not children.
Yeah, but it's not like he's going to take her, you know, he's got his bartending job.
It's just a weird thing to ask a bartender. Hey, can you...
People do that in Wisconsin all the time, I'm sure.
Really?
I'm sure they do. I'm 100% sure they do. It's Wisconsin. Oh, my stomach just...
that was a loud
That's
one.
my McDonald's. The guy, as an aside, when I went through McDonald's this morning, you know, the guy took my order and I was talking to him and stuff and got through. Really nice teenage like kid, like 5:30 in the morning or whatever, working at McDonald's, and he gives me my food and he goes, "We threw an extra hash brown in there for you because you're literally the only person that's been nice to us this morning." I know. I thought that was so sweet.
I love their hash browns too.
Oh my god, but they're so expensive. So like
What are they?
They're like $3, like
Really?
$2.50, $3 for
Wow.
a hash brown. But I love that they threw an extra one in there because I was the only person that was nice to them all morning.
Aw.
I can't imagine what people are like.
No, and then we wonder why they seem like they hate their jobs.
Exactly. Back to the bartender watching the little girl. Everyone else had gone downstairs by then, and I really didn't mind, so I said sure and let the mom go downstairs. I left the little girl alone in the room, so maybe maybe you're right. Maybe that wasn't the best.
Okay.
Maybe that wasn't the best idea. I should have read ahead a little bit before I disagreed with you. I left the girl alone in the room, and I went to that room over there. He pointed to one of the sitting rooms adjacent to the bar. I was in there cleaning up, and all of a sudden, I heard this shriek. Okay, so yeah, maybe don't leave your kid with a bartender. I heard this shriek, so I came running back to see what had happened. The little girl had this look on her face like she was totally terrified. I didn't see anyone or anything, so I asked her what was going on. She told me that a big ball of light had flown out of the corner of the room and came right at her, and she was really scared. The bartender went on to tell me about another incident that happened about a month after that wedding reception, this time with a little boy who came upstairs with his mom. He says, quote, he was right around the same age too, I think. I didn't pay too much attention to them. They were just looking around. Then all of a sudden, I see this little boy dart out of that room and into another room. I probably wouldn't have thought too much about it, except I overheard him telling his mom, Mom, there it goes, he said. A few seconds later, the mom came over to me and she said that she was sorry, but her son kept insisting he was being chased around by a ball of light. That's so weird. The third incident involved an adult, a guy who had been sitting at the bar having a drink. He was right around my age, said the bartender, which would have probably been somewhere around the mid-20s. He was talking on his cell phone, making plans to meet up with his buddies somewhere downtown. I turned around to take care of another customer. The next thing I know, this guy had jumped up out of his chair and was standing way over there looking really freaked out. I asked him if he was okay, and he insisted that, yeah, he was fine. Are you sure? I asked a couple times. He looked pretty shaken up, and I thought, I don't know, maybe he'd seen a mouse or something. This is an old building. No, I'm good, bro, he told me. But he didn't sit back down. Instead, he told me he was ready to pay his bill. The bartender said that as the customer was setting up his tab, he had finally calmed down enough to admit that he had been sitting there drinking when all of a sudden he saw the silhouette of a man standing behind him in the mirror behind the bar, but when he turned around, nobody was there. That's creepy. That would creep me out too. And I don't understand this. The outhouse is said to be the most haunted part of the property. It was originally built for Whitney's slaves and has been largely untouched for years, mostly due to fear of the paranormal. Inside the outhouse is a dining table that is set for afternoon tea and has sat untouched for as long as anyone can remember. Today it's still perfectly set out, but covered now in a thick layer of dust. Adding to the ghostly atmosphere, the outhouse has no electricity, so it sits in darkness at night, while the rest of the mansion's electrics were installed by Thomas Edison himself, who was a friend of Whitney's. Like, what? To me, an outhouse is like a little bathroom, but how does this one have like a dining table that is set for afternoon tea?
Maybe they just called it an outhouse,
but it was
just
the bathroom. Maybe it was like an outdoors bathroom, but it was big enough that you could have a table for.
I don't know.
Who does afternoon tea in an outhouse?
I don't know. Maybe it was the only space they had, and it kind of was a little.
I'm just
bit
thinking
of
we have a
everything.
different idea of what an outhouse is as opposed to this. Like,
I agree.
I don't ever want to have. I've been in outhouses while we're out geocaching, and I don't
Yeah.
ever want to have my afternoon tea sitting in the outhouse. You know,
Same.
So, but I thought it was cool that Thomas Edison himself put the mansion's electrics in there. So that is the Whitney. I find it fascinating about the two kids being chased around by the ball of light. You know,
Yeah.
so, and that they didn't know about each other. So I just thought that was really interesting. So next is you.
Oh.
As you're daydreaming.
SS Valley Camp. This is from ghostquest.net. The SS Valley Camp is a 550-foot long industrial freighter powered by a single 1,800 horsepower triple expansion reciprocating steam engine.
Oh,
Wow,
I love those.
Somebody just
those.
totally, got jacked up over that. It was constructed in 1917 by the National Steel Corporation and remained an active maritime vessel until 1966, at which point it was purchased by a company called La Salle de Sainte Marie Historical Sites, Inc.
Sault Ste. Marie.
Sault Ste. Marie. Jeez, I'm terrible at stuff.
If you'd watch Shoresy, you would understand the Sioux.
Oh. Apparently I am an airhead.
My dad did a lot of stuff in Sault Ste. Marie. Actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's how I know kind of what the name is.
Well, and
my
I
dad,
know Sault
my
Ste.
dad would talk
Marie.
about
I
the
guess
Sioux.
I didn't know that's how Sioux was spelled. For use as a museum. The historic
That
freighter...
soda's really not good.
No, I don't like it either.
Okay.
It's very uncarbonated, too, which
Yeah,
normally I
it's-
wouldn't complain about,
yeah.
but that's off-putting for
Yeah.
some reason. You know, I don't like carbonation.
No.
Although it's growing on me because I drink a lot of bubbly now.
Bubbly's good.
The historic freighter features many unique exhibits, including 4 1,200-gallon aquariums, items recovered from various shipwrecks, and numerous other antique maritime relics and artifacts. Guests visiting the Valley Camp Museum ship often report witnessing apparitions and shadow figures, as well as experiencing other unexplained paranormal phenomena, such as disembodied voices, footsteps, and other strange sounds. One popular exhibit featured in the museum displays 2 battered lifeboats that were recovered from the wreckage of a ship called the SS Edmund Fitzgerald.
We know the Edmund Fitzgerald here.
We sure do.
We know all about the...
And the 20-minute song. It's not that
It's a
long,
good song.
but it's really long.
Gordon Lightfoot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which sank in a tragic storm.
Now I got that song stuck in my
I
head.
know. It's hard not to. On November 10, 1975, killing all 29 crew members on board. Over the years, many tourists observing the two lifeboats have reported experiencing overwhelming feelings of sadness and despair which subside upon leaving the exhibit. The Valley Camp Museum ship was added to the National Register of Historic Places in February of 1972 and still features much of the ship's original interior paneling and other features. From 99.1 WMFK.
FMK.
WFMK. Good Lord. During the night, witnesses have seen shadowy human shapes walking on the ship's deck. Another particular occurrence took place in the former coal furnace room. The sound of extreme coughing and hacking was heard in the area, which makes sense, and an investigator who was nearby asked what it was. No answer came forth, but a recording device was on hand. When played back, a voice had been recorded that said, "I am coughing."
Well, at least clearing it
Thanks,
all up.
Captain Obvious. UPMatters.com. Miranda Crawford, Sioux Historic Sites office manager, says, quote, "One time I was up in one of the coal passers' bedrooms, and it was before we were open for the season. We were cleaning the room and stuff, and one of the lights was blinking. So I unscrewed it and set it on the bed, and not touching anything on the bed, it lit up and went out, and I have never been back in the room since."
That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Almost every employee, although I just
They
feel
could
like...
they could still have
yeah,
a charge.
Yeah.
You know.
Almost every employee I've had has told me that they've seen something, heard something, felt something. We have a paranormal convention come and they do an investigation on the ship. They've done recordings. There are books about it. So she's pretty haunted.
There's something about ships that freak me out. Like I would love to go on was it the Queen Mary?
Yeah.
But like I always just think of like the Cobia in Manitowoc, the submarine.
I will never
which
go
is
on
actually
that.
an Airbnb.
Ever.
You can spend the
Blah.
night there.
You couldn't pay me to do
No,
that.
it's haunted. Like I would love to go on
just
it.
don't like
but the last
confined
time I was
spaces.
in there, I had a very hard time because you're going through like
and you're underwater.
yeah, you're going through like super
No.
tight hallways
Yuck.
and stuff like that. And it's
I don't
like
even
I
like
could never
looking at it.
I could never be on a submarine. I
No,
would rather die than
it's
have to be
horrifying.
on a submarine. And then you hear about all these submarine, like the one that imploded underwater and
Yep.
stuff. And it's just that is
It's nightmare fuel.
that is nightmare fuel for me. Number 3 is the Landmark Inn. The Landmark Inn was constructed in 1917 and was not finished until 13 years later in 1930. The hotel finally opened to the general public on the 8th of January 1930. It ran as a full-service hotel with 100 rooms until the 1970s when it started falling apart. The hotel finally closed in 1982. It was not until 13 years later when someone else bought the hotel and restored it from top to bottom. That must have been like a really tough job, like restoring a hotel like that that's falling apart. The hotel reopened its
Expensive.
doors in 1997. The Landmark Inn has a plethora of specially named rooms that represent the various celebrities who have stayed there. Some of the most prominent people who have stayed in the hotel are, this one has lost his luster a little bit, Bill Cosby, Maya Angelou, Peter, Paul and Mary, Duke Ellington, Louis Armstrong, and Abbott and Costello.
Wow.
Amelia Earhart, one of the hotel's guests, even has a room named after her, room 502.
That's cool.
That's cool. You can stay on the Amelia Earhart room. I used to love Abbott and Costello when I was a kid. Holy cow. Like I said, I was a weird kid. I was like fascinated with old black and white movies. I always say
I was a Laurel and Hardy fan.
I was way more sophisticated as a kid than I am as an adult. Just like most old buildings all over the world, the Landmark has its share of ghost stories and apparitions. This is one of the many reasons that make it a favorite haunted hotel stay for ghost hunters. Arguably, the hotel's most popular ghost is known as the Librarian. It is said during the 1930s, when the hotel was still named the Northland Hotel, a spinster librarian and a ship's crewman fell in love and consummated their relationship in the hotel's lilac room.
A spinster librarian. I can just see her now.
Yeah. I can do hair up in a bun.
High-throated dress,
Yes.
puffy
Yes.
sleeves.
And the spinster librarians go for the ship's crewmen. You know how that goes. That's like
Yeah,
Brandy.
that's a
like
well-known thing.
The Brandy, the song Brandy from the 70s. The crewman was planning to marry the librarian after his final cruise. However, the ship was swept away, carrying the entire crew down with the ship. The librarian never recovered and died shortly after from a broken heart.
Oh.
It is reported her ghost looks out from the lilac room on the 6th floor, waiting for her lover to return. Since the hotel's renovation and reopening in 1997, the lilac room has remained the hotel's most haunted room. The room's first guest was a man who complained that he crawled into bed only to find the bed sheets having screws in them. The front desk apologized and housekeeping came up to change the sheets. Upon returning from dinner, he found that the sheets now had even more screws in them and asked to be moved to another room. That's weird, you know.
Like they were just like
Just random screws tucked in his bed.
Okay.
And then they changed the bedding, and then when he crawled in, there were even more screws in the second
Weird.
time. The front desk also has reports getting calls from the lilac room when no one is staying there. That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
From hauntedplaces.org, somebody writes, quote, I stayed here around 2005. We had been traveling all day and we were tired. My family fell asleep right away, but after many hours of driving and sightseeing, I laid in bed with eyes wide open. After about 10 minutes, I suddenly felt a sensation of something near the top of my feet. I immediately looked down at the end of the bed to see a U-shaped impression in the down comforter where my feet were, like someone was sitting at the end of the bed. I didn't know what to do. I just sat still, and after a minute, the pressure disappeared. I was freaked out a little bit, but exhaustion beat fear, and I finally fell asleep. I woke up about an hour later to cries from my 8-year-old daughter who was in the bathroom but could not get out. She said that she hadn't locked the door, but it was locked when she tried to get out. The door handle would not even turn when she tried to unlock it. After about a minute of trying everything I could to get the door open, I turned the handle again and the door just popped open. I told my daughter it was a mechanical problem. I went to bed only to wake again around 3 o'clock a.m. to my 5-year-old son screaming, quote, "Get off of me, Lewis." The whole family was awake and looking over at him as he had both hands palms up and feet kicking as if someone was on top of him. I called his name and he finally stopped kicking and screaming. I asked him who Lewis was and he didn't know. He just went back to sleep. I, however, did not, and we left early in the morning.
I mean, he could have just been dreaming.
Yeah, it could have been a night terror or something, but there you go. That is the Landmark Inn.
It's like a little fruit fly down here or something.
Oh, I gave you a long one here, didn't I? Sorry.
Is it me?
Yep.
The old
Presque.
you.
The old
You don't know?
I don't know if it's Presque.
Old Presque Isle
Presque.
Lighthouse.
Maybe
Hopefully I don't have to say it a bunch of times.
The old Presque. Just call it the old P.
The old P Lighthouse. AmericanGhostStories.com is where this came from.
And you got to, like, Michigan's got to have haunted, like, when we do Michigan, we had to do haunted lighthouses, 100%.
Located on the land protruding from the eastern shore of Lake Huron in Michigan, you'll find the
Just say Presque.
Presque Isle Lighthouse. The name Presque Isle comes from the French term that means almost an island. Congress appropriated $7,000 to fund the construction of the lighthouse in 1838, and construction started shortly thereafter. The lighthouse was completed in 1840. The original Presque Isle Lighthouse Tower stood 30 feet high with 4-foot thick walls at the base. Inside was a hand-cut stone stairway that spiraled around the interior wall of the tower up to the lantern.
I love lighthouses.
Yeah, there's something...
I don't even know if I've ever actually been in a proper lighthouse.
There's something...
Romantic.
I want to say,
like
romantic.
Weirdly, like
it's
old,
romantic.
not like kissy romantic, but
No.
like old romantic.
Yeah, I agree. About 30 feet from the lighthouse, a small detached single-story lightkeeper's residence was built. The light was lit for the first time in September of 1840 when the first keeper moved in.
I'd love to be a lighthouse keeper. I'd be cool with that.
If you had internet?
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah.
What if you didn't have internet?
Even if I didn't have internet, I'd be
I guess if you had books.
Books, yeah.
Yeah. I think it would be a very lonely job.
That's like, I've been obsessed with fire towers. You know, like where somebody goes way out in the wilderness and are up in this tower, like stationed there, and there's nobody around.
Yeah, something about that really creeps me out. By 1866, the keeper's dwelling was in such poor condition that nothing short of a complete rebuild would make the structure livable again. The owner requested that money be made available for the renovation of the building, and Congress approved the requested appropriation on March 2nd, 1867. As the construction was about to begin, the Lighthouse Board changed its direction. Due to the height of the standing lighthouse tower, it was only functional to light the harbor. It was decided that instead of refurbishing the standing buildings, they would construct a larger light at the tip of the peninsula about a mile north of the original, along with 2 range lights to help light the harbor. These new lights would render the current light virtually obsolete, and the planned renovation was canceled. The new lighthouse was completed in 1871, and the lightkeeper moved with his family to the new location. Oh, he had a family. The new light was lit on June 1st, 1871, and the lens and lantern from the original light were removed and shipped off to be used elsewhere. After the lantern was removed, the old tower was left uncapped and the windows and doors were boarded up. The building stood empty and in disrepair for 26 years. Finally, in 1897, the lighthouse and surrounding property were sold at public auction. Once again, the building sat in disrepair for years, being used mainly as a picnic area for guests of a nearby hotel. When the property was purchased again in the 1930s, the new owners rebuilt the lightkeeper's dwelling in the style of an old English cottage and used it for a summer home. That sounds nice.
It does sound really nice.
In the 1940s, vacationers started asking for tours of the old light station, and the owner realized that converting the property into a museum might make him some money. The old tower was refurbished, washed out cement was replaced between the stones, and a fresh coat of white paint was applied. The old cottage was furnished with mid-19th century period items, and maritime artifacts were displayed in the cottage as well as on the grounds. The station finally got electricity in 1965, and the light was reactivated in the tower. The Coast Guard wouldn't allow it to be used as an official lighthouse, however, so the old light was again deactivated. In 1977, a retired couple, George and Lorraine Paris, took over the property as live-in tour guides and custodians. That would be such a fun job.
Right. That would be.
George was a
We
person.
need to go to a haunted lighthouse at some point.
There's some up in Door County.
Yeah.
George was a personable man who enjoyed his job at the lighthouse and loved greeting the visitors to the lighthouse, especially the children. He enjoyed taking the visitors to the lighthouse on a tour of the buildings and grounds and shared stories of the lives of the lightkeepers and their families. He also liked to play harmless pranks on visitors by blowing the foghorn just to make sure everyone was paying attention.
That would annoy me. Like, I don't like stuff like that.
No. The loud, unexpected sound gave everyone a start. Sadly, George died of a massive heart attack on January 2nd, 1992.
Probably after somebody scared him with the lighthouse sound.
Lorraine stayed on and continued their work at the tower. One night on her way back to the light station, she saw a light shining in the old lighthouse. Knowing full well that this was impossible since George had disconnected the electricity to the tower years before, she was a bit frazzled. The Coast Guard had said it was illegal to display a light in the old tower because mariners might confuse it with the new Presque lighthouse. Presque? Okay. To ensure that no accidental lighting could occur, the Coast Guard had actually removed the gears so the lens could no longer rotate. It was impossible to come up with a reasonable explanation for why the light was there.
That's weird to me. Is that when the light, you come down and you can see that the light is on, and there's no way that the light should. I'm sure it's probably some creepy electrical glitch or some charge that it was holding, but still.
I wonder if it could have been a reflection from something too.
Possibly.
Soon other people began reporting the light in the old tower. National Guard pilots have reported seeing it when they flew night missions over the peninsula. There have also been reports that George's light guiding people to safety on dark, stormy, foggy nights. To this day, the light still comes on at dusk and goes off at daylight. That's weird. The U.S. Coast Guard has classified it as an unidentified light.
That's weird.
That the U.S. Coast Guard...
That the Coast Guard is like, I don't know why this light is coming on.
In July 1992, a little girl reported seeing a man at the top of the stairs leading to the lantern room. The little girl said he was a tall man with white hair, a beard, and was wearing glasses. When she was shown a picture of George, she said that was the man she saw in the tower, but he was brighter white when she saw him.
That's creepy. Another
story, possibly a different version of the same story, reports that a little girl touring the lighthouse with her family climbed to the top of the tower and came back down giggling. She said she had been talking to a man in the tower. It's also been reported that some visitors to the lighthouse have reported seeing George's face looking back at them from inside the light fixture. That's weird.
I don't want to see that.
No. Medium Tammy Schuster said she has also encountered a ghost while touring the lighthouse, but she believes it to be that of a man named Don S. Olds, who wrote a series of poems about the light during the 1930s. The lighthouse was added to the National Register of Historic Sites in 1973. The area was incorporated into the state park by the state of Michigan and donated to the township in 1995. The Township Historical Society continues to operate the lighthouse as a museum, open 7 days a week from May through October.
Love to visit that place.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
100%. What time?
I'm going to say hour 45. Ooh, hour 39.
Oh, we're doing
Close,
good.
Yeah.
It's going to be around 2 hours.
Yeah.
And number one, of course, as I have alluded to several times during this episode, Mackinac Island, which is just fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Most of this comes from the morbidlibrary.com and the MackinacIsland.org website. Mackinac is a small island around 4 square miles total in Lake Huron between Michigan's upper and lower peninsula. The population is just under 500 people according to the 2010 census, but thousands of tourists visit each year for the scenic views, historical landmarks, cultural events, and what? I didn't know they were famous for this.
I don't know.
Fudge.
Oh, I did know
They
that.
are famous for
Yeah.
fudge. I'm not a fudge guy.
I am.
Ugh,
I'm
no.
a fudge gal.
I'm not. Fudge is just,
Dumb.
give me a Hershey bar over fudge any day. People always visit for the fudge. Cars are banned on the island, and the main form of transportation are horses and bikes. I love that there's no cars on the island.
I do too.
Now, onto the history. Prior to the French, quote, discovering Mackinac Island, Ojibwe and Odawa tribes of Native Americans used the island as a burial ground. They refer to it as, oh my God, they refer to it as Michilimackinac, which means great turtle in the Odawa dialect. That sounds like something from the Dark Tower. However, when the British realized that the position could serve them strategically, they stole the land from the natives in 1780 and built a fort. It's typical. The United States took the land from the British in 1783, and it was used as a headquarters for the American Fur Company for a time before transitioning into a resort. It was then taken back by the British during the War of 1812, but the United States again stole it back in 1815. So a lot of battles and wartime activities, a lot of native burials and significance to the land,
Explains
a history
a
as a
lot.
resort spot, and the island has a history of witch hunts. So yeah,
Oh.
yeah, like I never knew this
I didn't know
before.
about that.
And I'm assuming that this is where the band got their name from, but one of the major haunted areas is called the Drowning Pool. The Drowning Pool is located near the southern tip of Mackinac Island. The pool is relatively small, but deeper than it looks, boasting a near 20-foot drop-off into its depths. Basically, if a woman was accused of being a witch, and it was always a woman, they would be tried in one of two ways to determine whether they were actually a witch or not. The first method involved placing one end of a lever over the pond and having a weight repeatedly placed on and removed from the other end, dunking the accused into the pond over and over. Hence, this technique has been dubbed dunking.
I just read a book recently called Slewfoot, and that was a method they used.
Dunking?
Yeah.
It's just crazy.
If you drowned, you were innocent.
Yeah, that's the thing. If a woman drowned without admitting
You
to
were
being
not
a
a
witch,
witch.
she was
You just
declared
murdered a
innocent.
innocent woman then.
If she admitted to being a witch, the dunking stopped, but then the accused was hanged. The second method involved...
we just couldn't win back
No,
then, guys.
the second method involved binding the accused ankles, weighed down and weighing them down with rocks. If they floated, they were witches, and then they were hung. But if they sank, they were declared innocent in death.
So dumb.
That is so dumb.
The
we
logic
should have
behind
a whole
that.
episode about witches
Yeah, we should.
at some point. In the 1700s and 1800s, 7 women were accused and tried in this manner. All 7 of them are said to still haunt the depths of the Drowning Pool. Many visitors claim to see or hear splashing in the waters without a source. Figures and shadows have been seen both above and below the surface of the water. Sometimes these spirits are smudges, sometimes they have more human features. Sometimes the figures are seen hovering above the water. Sometimes they're seen drifting below the water. Regardless of where they appear, these sightings are not accompanied by ripples, waves, or wakes. That's weird. That's just creepy. And that's just so stupid. Like the whole witch. Next is Fort Mackinac. Fort Mackinac was built on the island during the Revolutionary War since the island was a strategic point. The fort is comprised of 14 total buildings, including several soldiers' quarters, barracks, storehouses, a hospital, a bathhouse, a schoolhouse, and more. Basically, everything a soldier or their family would need in daily life could be found within the fort walls. The current state of the fort is largely the same as it was in the 19th century. It has neither been modernized nor allowed to fall to ruin. The haunting phenomena at the fort varies in severity depending on the building you visit. Across the fort, however, there seems to be a consistent presence of low-level paranormal activity. Visitors to the fort routinely report hearing the sound of fife music, though there is no source to be found. Rifle shots are heard even when there are no reenactments occurring. Orbs appear in many photos taken at the fort, even outdoors where dust is unlikely to be caught in a camera flash. And bugs tend to appear as bugs or blurs when captured. I don't agree with that. The Fort Mackinac Hospital also has reports of strange spiritual phenomena. Visitors have reported seeing the ghostly appearance of amputated limbs, meaning the limb itself separated from the body. That's gross. They do not see the
Just like
person
floating around in the air.
they do
or
not see
what?
the person it was once attached to. So this does not seem to be a soul trapped in our plane of existence, as we normally conceptualize ghosts to be.
I have never heard of that.
No. Guests also report feeling overwhelming feelings of... Oh, I spit on you, sorry. over where was I here? Feelings of sadness.
I didn't notice, so you didn't even need to
The
say
reports
anything.
lead me to believe that the trauma experienced there has imprinted itself on the very building and now shows itself over and over again like a record skipping. The guardhouse and buildings that served as soldiers' quarters also have reports of phenomena. The sounds of babies and children crying are one of the most often reported phenomena. In line with the idea of kid ghosts, toys are found thrown around in the morning despite being put away the night before.
Kid
The
ghosts.
idea being that spirit children come out to play at night.
Nah.
Motion detectors often get triggered with nothing to be seen by the naked eye. Furniture often gets moved around apparently on its own.
I'm very leery of the idea of kid ghosts.
You don't like that?
I just don't know if that's what it is.
Yeah. There's the Bogan Lane Inn on the island. Staff and sometimes guests as well have seen and heard the ghost of a little girl with long hair there. She has been seen playing the piano and has been known to tell people in the building that, quote, she wants to go home. I know. There's the Rifle Range Trail. An old fort soldier was framed for shooting and killing another soldier of the fort. He was hung on the Rifle Range Trail, but he is still seeking vengeance. When you walk along the trail, it is said that you can sometimes feel bullets whizzing past your ears. Your hair gets pulled on if you're alone, and sometimes you'll hear the crunching of leaves, dirt and twigs behind you. You might get touched and sometimes might even get thrown to the ground.
Jeez.
It's if you want to experience this,
No,
why?
thanks.
It's best to go around midnight. Fort Holmes. There are many accounts of ghosts being seen inside Fort Holmes, the restored British stronghold atop Mackinac Island's highest point. It's a popular spot for stargazing, but many stargazers have reported seeing three soldiers talking to each other, and then poof, they disappear as if they've been startled. Mission Point Resort. Mission Point Resort began as a single home in 1825, built by Amanda and William Ferry, who were Christian missionaries. The building began to morph into a complex in the 1950s thanks to a group called the Moral Rearmament, which is a fairly radical, non-denominational religious movement. I'm not going to call it a cult. I'm not going to get into it here because it could really be its own post. The buildings were then utilized in 1966 to form the short-lived Mackinac College. After the college shut down 4 years later, the complex was used for religious programming and getaways. In 1972, Mission Point Resort began pivoting away from its religious roots and instead focused on vacationers and those looking for a getaway. It was given the name Mission Point Resort in 1987. There are a lot of low-level happenings at Mission Point Resort. People hear voices that have no source. Visitors report feeling watched, which is something that I discount almost immediately. Your mind can play all sorts of tricks on you when you're alone in an unfamiliar place. And there have been reports of sudden, unexplainable drops in temperature. The most cited spirits at Mission Point are those of children. According to local lore, a tuberculosis outbreak took hold at Mission Point in the early 1800s. Those infected, most of which were children, were kept in the cellar where they died from the disease. That's horrible.
Yeah.
Again, this seems to me more urban legend than fact. I was unable to find corroborating sources from the time period.
Did that light just flicker?
Which one?
The one above you. Never mind.
I didn't notice. Is it a child ghost down here?
No.
Make your presence known when I'm gone.
Follow Kurt home.
No, here, down here.
We're such chickens.
Yeah, we are for being ghost hunters. One of the ghosts has a name. One of the ghosts at the mission has a name, Lucy.
Aw.
Lucy and her parents lived at Mission Point, though the time period during which she was alive is unknown. The story goes that Lucy's parents were called back to Detroit on business. Lucy was too ill to travel with them, so she was left to rest at Mission Point. Unfortunately, she succumbed to her illness before her parents returned,
Aw.
and now her lost spirit roams the halls, still crying out for her mother or father. Oh, that's so sad.
Really sad.
I'm sorry, Lucy. Finally, the most famous ghost of Mission Point Resort is known as Harvey. Harvey was a student at Mackinac College during its active years. The specific year is unknown, but we know it to be between 1966 and 1970. Harvey was lovelorn, brokenhearted after his girlfriend broke up with him. He walked into the woods and committed suicide by shooting himself. His body was not found for some time. The official ruling on his death was said to have been suicide, but rumors on campus is that someone murdered him. There had allegedly been 2 bullets in Harvey's head when his body was found. Now Harvey's spirit is said to haunt the theater at the Mission Point Resort, poking and prodding guests. And I don't know if this is the same Lucy, but there's another story of Lucy, a young girl who has reportedly been seen in many locations on Mackinac Island through the years. She has curly hair and wears a light-colored sundress and has been seen following people on the staircase at Crow's Nest Trail by Anne's Tablet, peeking out from the windows at Pine Cottage Bed and Breakfast, and on several occasions during the Haunts of Mackinac ghost tours. So that's weird that people on the ghost tour have supposedly seen this ghost girl, Lucy, that's there. And finally, the biggie on the island is the Grand Hotel. From themorbidlibrary.com, the Grand Hotel was built in 1887. Local historians claim that the hotel was built over an old cemetery. So there you go. Allegedly, bodies were attempted to be relocated, but there were simply too many to keep track of, so they just gave up.
Have you seen Poltergeist?
Yeah, exactly. There are so many different entities reported being seen at the Grand Hotel that I feel comfortable saying that I won't get to all of them. Over the years, there have been various spirits spotted dressed in clothing described as being from roughly the 19th century. One such ghost is known as Little Rebecca. Rebecca was a child when she died on the hotel grounds. She is most often seen on the 4th floor of the hotel, wandering the hallway and disappearing. She most often appears between 2 and 4 a.m. to singular people walking in the halls at the time. Another commonly spotted spirit is known as the Woman in Black. She is most often seen after dark, wandering around the Grand Hotel's porch. She also has a spectral companion, and that's what makes her so interesting to me. She's seen walking a large white dog. White dogs are very, very rarely mentioned when it comes to ghosts. Typically, we hear all about death being personified as a black dog or black dogs being an omen of death. The fact that she has a white dog alongside her suggests that they perhaps were her companions in life, which then opens a can of worms whether animals have souls and can pass on.
I think so.
I think so too. I've saved the scariest entry for last. There is something aggressive haunting the halls of the Grand Hotel. Several people have encountered a shadowy black mass with glowing red eyes. From what I can tell, it seems to manifest as a semi-transparent, semi-solid shadow or cloud. It does not appear to take the full shape of a human. It has no arms or legs, although it is vaguely human-shaped. It apparently gives off malevolent vibes and has physically attacked several people, even knocking a maintenance man out. It often appears in the hotel theater near the stage. So that's the Grand Hotel is like amazing, but it's so expensive to stay there.
Like how much?
I don't remember, but it's expensive.
Like a few hundred a night.
Easily
at
a few
least.
hundred a night.
Although a lot of hotels are going for that right now.
And this is interesting. Like, I've never seen this movie. In 1979, the Grand Hotel was the setting for a romantic fantasy movie called Somewhere in Time, starring Christopher Reeve and Jane Seymour.
Heard of it.
Each fall, the hotel hosts a reunion of fans enchanted by the movie. And that's the Grand Hotel. That's supposed to be super haunted. Like, I love Mackinac Island. Just reading about it, like, I've never been there, so we should go there. I don't want to do the bridge, but I don't think we'll have really any choice.
Yeah.
So there you go. And I want to end with this comment from somebody on the Reddit, the subreddit for cryptids, says, quote, "Probably the most elusive Michigan cryptid is the rarely seen Detroit Lions winning season." So there you go. There is Michigan. Like, I love Michigan. I wish I'd get there more often. Like, I would love to visit, like, I've been to Ludington. My friend Jim and I, when we drove back from Pennsylvania to see my ex-girlfriend, we drove through a little bit of Michigan, but I've never been, like, to Grand Rapids or any of that type area. Like, I would love to visit Michigan. So there you go. There is Strange States, Michigan. Love the state. Love your dog, man. Love Mackinac Island. We really do need to get there.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's it. Any comments on Michigan? Nothing?
Feels like like a comrade or neighbor.
Yeah.
Very similar
I feel like
to
the same way
Wisconsin,
with Minnesota.
Totally.
Yeah, like we have this,
birds
like,
of a feather.
Like, we're BFFs with Minnesota. I feel like we're BFFs with Michigan, Illinois. We're frenemies, maybe. We got a weird frenemy relationship with Illinois.
One of my BFFs is from Illinois.
I love Illinois. Driving through it from the south to the north is boring and long.
Very long.
But what time are we looking at here? Oh, we're doing good.
Yeah.
So my song choice for this episode, this is not a great song by any stretch of the imagination, but it's fascinating.
Prepared to be not wowed.
It's like, I'll just read the comments from YouTube.
It's super mediocre.
Somebody here says, quote, I'm here because the song randomly popped into my head after 17 years. Somebody responds, me too. Somebody in all caps responds, me too. Somebody in all caps responds, same. Somebody responds, why is this happening to us? And somebody responds, do we all live in a simulation or what?
So it's not a great song, just a lot of people randomly.
Somebody else says, quote, I don't remember how, but I found this song in the early 2000s and I loved it so much. The melody and lyrics have stuck with me 20 years later. I woke up today with the chorus randomly in my head. Search Google and so happy someone uploaded this to YouTube. This song to me is a classic and was way ahead of its time. Somebody else writes, quote, here in 2021 because this song has been stuck in my head for 20 years. Somebody else writes, quote, all of us, in parentheses, at least the ones with musical taste, at the music magazine I worked for, love this song. The vocals and melody are great. That chorus is catchy and fun, and this video is just perfect for the song. Somebody else writes, quote, this video makes me want to dance with my friends in a supermarket. And somebody else writes, quote, wow, bringing back fond memories. Sometime in the early 2000s, after a party, I gave a couple of dudes a ride home, and one of them played this song on my CD player. Remember CDs? What a lovely song, what a lovely night, what a lovely point in time. I wish I could rewind back to those days now.
I don't know if I'll recognize it.
You won't.
Okay.
And then somebody else writes, and I love this
never
one.
do.
No, this is a very unknown song.
Okay.
But I'll get into the story, like how I found it. Somebody else writes, quote, damn this song. Damn it for popping into my head after all these years later. Anytime anyone ever says the phrases, check it out, or be honest, or anytime I see a, quote, 10 items or less sign in a grocery store. And it is the song Are You the Walrus by Furthermore. It's how I found it was back in the day, this label would release, it was like a Christian label. It's a Christian rapper, kind of. I think he's a rapper. But they would release like compilations for like $2 where you could buy the CD. And I knew one of the bands that was on the CD. And when I listened to the CD, this song, I'm like, it's dumb, but it's like really catchy. And I love this song. And it's
dumb but catchy.
It's still like when I watch the video, it'll randomly, if somebody says check it out or be honest, this song pops in my head because of the lyrics. And it's kind of rappy. And there's this keyboard thing that goes on throughout the song that I knew at one time what it was, but it's a classical song. I want to say canon. I don't know what classical. It's like canon.
Canon in D?
That
Okay.
one. But that's like the keyboard part of this song is that. And it's kind of a rappy song. And the video is just goofy because it's in a supermarket, because the song kind of takes place in a supermarket. And there's people dancing in the aisles. And it's just like a fun video. But I have a love-hate relationship with this song because it is stuck in my head and it will never not be stuck in my head. But it's still kind of a good song. It is Are You the Walrus by Furthermore.
I'm going to listen.
Yeah.
You never know. Maybe I do know it.
It's like kind of got like a Beastie Boys kind of rap going on through it, but not really rap. But yeah. So let me know what you think. I actually really like this song, but it's stuck in my head and it will never leave my head. And it is Are You the Walrus by Furthermore. And I didn't write down the question we got, but the question we got, it was something along the lines of, with all of Kurt's weird crushes, who is your biggest paranormal crush or your biggest crush in the paranormal field? And I know what I'm going to say. You know, I know what my biggest crush in the paranormal field is, and I'm pretty sure yours is going to be right along the same lines.
Josh Gates?
But I thought, I thought about like Jael DePardo that was on.
Oh, yeah.
But she's not really involved a lot with the paranormal field. And then I thought about, what was her name? She was on that Paranormal Lockdown show.
Katrina.
Yes, I had a huge crush on her. She's got like an Amy Lee from Evanescence thing going on, which I love.
She has beautiful eyes.
Yeah, like
oh
Amy Lee from Evanescence. Like I'm just smitten with her. But I finally had to go with, who do you think I had to go with? My biggest paranormal crush. We talk about them all the time. All the time.
Oh, Dana.
Dana Newkirk.
Yeah.
There's something about her that she's just so funny.
Yeah.
And she's just like a genuine person.
She's adorable.
She's adorable. She's a genuine person. And I could listen to her for hours. So Dana Newkirk is 100% my paranormal field crush. You know, I
Mine is in a non-sexual way. Josh Gates.
Yeah.
I mean,
100%.
I just want to hang
I have
out
a
with him
man crush.
so
I
bad.
100% admit to having a man crush
Yeah.
on Josh Gates.
Yeah.
You know, like hugging Josh Gates. He's on my hugging bucket list. He's on like
Yeah.
my dude hugging bucket list. Like
He just seems like good people.
like
He's
like
hilarious.
a genuine person. Like he's like
smart.
Dana. He's like Newkirk's, where it's just a genuine person that has an interest in this
And
stuff.
they're friends. So
And yeah,
if
which
you
is
run into
awesome.
one, you might run into
Yeah.
the other.
Someday we'll have our picture taken with the Newkirks and with Josh Gates.
That would be amazing.
Together. That would be amazing.
Yeah.
It'll never happen, but it would be amazing. But yeah, like I thought there's a couple other ones. There were a couple, like I forgot all about Ghost Hunters Academy. Was it Ghost Hunters Academy or Ghost Hunters International? There's so many old ghosts. And there were a couple of them that I actually wrote back and forth with a couple times back in the day that were on like Ghost Hunters Academy and stuff like that.
Yeah, I kind of remember that.
But yeah, so that's my answer is Dana Newkirk. Like I love the Newkirks. I love listening to the new season of Haunted Objects. The pyramid
Yeah,
one
it's
was
so
fun.
good.
Where they
Yeah,
put
that
like
was really
they
fun.
put the cheap vodka or whatever it was underneath the pyramid and taste tested it.
They were wearing the pyramids through most of the show.
I didn't watch the video.
That's so good.
I have to listen to them because if I watch it on TV, I like fall asleep. Like I have to listen to it when I'm driving around. That's how I am with podcasts.
So is that the last one you listened to?
Yeah.
You might be a couple behind
Yes,
now.
I am a couple behind. because the
I'm caught
Felicity Was Here podcast came out, so I've been listening to the Felicity Was Here podcast, and I've been listening to I'm another song one that I'm not gonna do like the quotes, but I am like obsessed with Gracie Abrams. Like I bought her because I have a lot of Amazon credit. I bought her new album, and it's seriously all I've been listening to. And now I just yesterday I bought her older album, but I'm like obsessed, and I understand Swifties now because I feel that way about Gracie Abrams. Like I adore Gracie Abrams. I love her album so much. So even for an extra bonus song, I might throw in her live version of Let It Happen by Gracie Abrams because I adore her. Just absolutely adore Gracie Abrams.
So someone on the strangers group, two people, no, I'm not gonna be able to find it, suggested a show that's not necessarily paranormal, but they do some I can't remember what it's called. And I was gonna say I did listen to it and I really liked it.
Was it the Y-Files?
I watched the channel on
Yeah.
YouTube. No, I can't remember what it was. Strange. The word strange was actually in the title.
Should we sue them?
Yeah, I think they're way more popular than us. I can't think of what it was now. But I've been listening to a ton of Spooked lately. It's such a good podcast.
I have so many I listen to such a mixture of podcasts. I have Monsters Among Us. I
That's a
have
good one,
Sofa
yeah.
King podcast.
I get that confused, Monsters Among Us, with there's a YouTube channel I watch.
Oh.
That I can't.
I think I know what you're saying. But
I can't remember what it's called.
I listen to Monsters Among Us. I listen
today.
to Sofa King podcast. I have the Gilmore Guys.
That's
but
a good one.
I haven't listened to that yet. I have Felicity.
They always sing the theme song.
I have
at the
Felicity
beginning.
Was Here, which just came out with their second season, and I love Felicity Was Here. I listen to Dear Felicity. I listen to the MASH podcast.
Wow.
And then I listen to like Astonishing Legends. So I have such a weird mixture of podcasts that I listen to. I'm
trying to find this podcast so I can actually say it. Oh, by the way, the Black Rifle Coffee Company, Bigfoot, that I coffee Tactus Squatch, it is really good.
It is. That's
and
what
this
I had.
company is founded by veterans, and it's just
that's what I had when we did
good way to
the
spend your
school
money.
investigation. But then we didn't have coffee because there was no water there. Remember, we didn't. I made water because I had bottled water. So I had, but that's one of my favorite coffees is Tactus Squatch. Actually, I've had.
I was really wrong. It's called Otherworld.
Okay, we're not.
But it was really good.
I'll have to check that out. I'll add that to my
to your listening.
Add that to my listening podcast list.
Cool.
So there you go. Anything else we have to add?
I don't think so.
I do love the
the
Strange
deets.
States episode.
Me too. Now I gotta start
really
putting stickers on our map. I bought stickers for our map, and I can do
Michigan,
Wisconsin, Michigan.
I can't wait till we get to
all the other ones.
I can't wait till we get to Oregon.
Oregon.
I just can't. It feels wrong. It's got to be Oregon.
Do you know why? Because I think we all grew up playing the Oregon Trail. And
we all called it the Oregon Trail. I don't know if it's
Oregon Trail. It wasn't. We didn't call it.
But I get it.
Maybe
because
it's a Wisconsin thing.
I get it because I was interested at the Capital Civic Center in Manitowoc in October. Debbie Gibson's going to be there.
Yeah,
and as we discussed in our childhood crushes episode, I had such a crush on Debbie Gibson 1986, 87.
I was a Debbie Gibson fan.
Oh
There
my
was
God.
Tiffany and Debbie Gibson.
Yes.
I was a Debbie Gibson fan.
You would date Tiffany, but you would marry Debbie Gibson.
There you go. She was girl next door.
She was the girl next door. But I still have such a crush on her.
She
She's
still looks
beautiful.
amazing. Yeah.
But I wanted to go to the show, but I also don't have money to spend. And it's like, it was like to get your picture taken with her was like $120 or something like that.
Dang.
And I was like, and then she did a video talking about coming here and she pronounced Manitowoc wrong.
Oh,
and
how'd you say it?
Manitowoc.
Oh, well.
And it just made me cringe. So
Those Indian, Native American names are
so
hard
crazy.
for people.
I get it that it's like nails on a chalkboard when I pronounce Oregon wrong.
Oregon.
So I'm going to try to be better with it. I promise. And I think that's it. I think next time we're going to be here with a tinfoil hat episode that I'm.
We should wear tinfoil hats.
We should during the episode.
That would be hilarious.
Put tinfoil on these.
Yeah.
I love this story and I'm super intrigued by it. Spoiler, I don't think it's legit, but
Okay.
it's fascinating and I'm so into it. And we're also going to delve a little side topic on there into something that I have brought up in several other episodes.
He never tells me until we're sitting
no,
here.
you're going to have a bunch of stories to read though.
Okay.
I'll
I'll try to get better sleep so I don't stumble through the
I'm
whole
going to say
thing.
it involves school. That's all I'm going to say is it involves school.
Okay.
So that'll be the next episode. And then somewhere down the future, we're going to do mimics and doppelganger stories and
Save
maybe
that for October.
talk about the gin,
And we should do a witch episode, like
at some point.
yeah.
Yeah. With that, but I feel like, would you rather do mimics for the Halloween-ish episode or like witches? I'd rather do mimics and stuff. Yeah.
It's
So we're
creepier.
going to do that. And then, God, there were so many people that wanted to come on the podcast this season, but we haven't.
We're closing in on the end of the season.
We are closing
soon.
in. It was like still dark when I drove down here this morning,
know,
which to me
crazy.
signifies that the season ending is getting close because
Mm-hmm.
it's dark now and it used to be light. So I think that's it for our babbling.
Okay.
Are we ready to wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Okay. And we're not doing a side session today. We're going to do
Nope.
it over.
We have to pick a topic.
No, I know what it is. It's already done. I didn't
nice.
bring it today. It's what you suggested recently.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, nice.
Yeah, which is creepy, which
Yeah,
is a
I'm
weird,
excited to hear about it.
weird story. So thank you guys so much for listening. Did that just get dimmer? Or was
It
that just
did
me?
halfway through the episode. It's
Oh,
fine. It's done
okay.
it before.
Okay. I keep forgetting I got to start looking at the camera more. I keep forgetting we
I
have
try
a
to
camera on
throughout.
us. Here's to you guys. Peanut butter soda that I'm choking
Bit
down.
of honey soda.
A bit of honey soda.
Maybe there's a bit of honey soda that tastes like peanut butter.
And again, thanks for listening. We're sorry we talk for 20 minutes before we actually get to the story.
No, we're not sorry.
No, we're not sorry.
Is Tom sending us something disgusting?
Yes, very disgusting.
Okay.
I love that he reached out to us to say, you
Yeah.
guys don't really need to try this.
Yeah, me too.
Part of me wants to kind of try it, but I also know
Apparently outside?
I'll change my tune after we smell it because it's supposedly worse than durian.
Ugh.
And durian itself was bad. And we only had the durian candy. We didn't have the durian anything else.
The smell was bad too.
Yeah, it smelled like the inside of a butt.
Yep.
100%. It was horrible. So whatever he's sending us is supposed to be even worse. And he said that what was the
I
chef?
thought you liked us, Tom.
What was the chef's name that tried it?
Oh, Andrew Zimmer.
And gagged. Yeah. And if he gagged trying it,
Yeah.
we're gonna be hopeless. So we're gonna see. We're gonna see if it comes.
We can be pretty brave.
I got a feeling that'll be us with one of our recorders outside opening it in a field
That's fine.
or in your backyard. But we'll figure it out when we get it. Part of me wants to try it, but
Yeah,
again, I'm
same.
gonna chicken
I'm
out, and
curious.
I'm not gonna probably taste it once I smell how horrible it is. So the deets, you can email us at TheStrangeSessions@gmail.com. I'm not even going to do Twitter or X or whatever. Instagram, we are on The Strange Sessions, where we have awesome listeners, and Krista does a really good job of maintaining that. You can send postcards and snail mail to, I was going to check it yesterday, but forgot, The Strange Sessions, P.O. Box 434, Manitowoc, Wisconsin, 54221-0434. You can call our lonely phone line like Crazy did. So Crazy, thank you so much for calling at 920-443-9602. And I think that's it.
All right.
Oh, and we also have, it's not on here, but you can send any stories you have to TheStrangeSessionsStories@gmail.com, which I haven't checked lately, so I probably should. And that is it, I think.
Cool.
Anything else? You got anything fun going on today?
Just editing this show.
Okay.
That's it. Enjoying the cool weather, making chili.
I love chili. I love my pumpkin spice coffee from Quick Trip in the fall. But again,
I'm obsessed with this Starbucks drink. I don't normally get Starbucks. It's more of a gym
you're
thing.
like the third person to tell me in the last couple days that they don't usually like Starbucks, but they're obsessed with something from Starbucks.
Yeah, it's
Aaron just told me he tried something from Starbucks.
It's this brown sugar oat milk shaken espresso drink that I have to have one whenever we go to Meijer.
I wish I could remember.
I'm obsessed.
Yeah.
It's a triple shot.
And it's good?
Oh, it's so good.
I'm not a
iced.
Starbucks guy.
I normally am not either, but I love it.
Ugh, I should try it. But again, I can't get excited about this because a heat dome this weekend, another heat dome, 90 degrees, hazy and humid on Wednesday, they're saying. So I'm over summer.
Maybe it'll shift.
I hope so. I want it done.
Same.
I want leaves to fall. I want cool breezes. I want the smell of smoke.
Crisp air. Yes.
It's coming.
Dark nights.
It is coming. So thank you guys so much for listening and for putting up with us. We love you guys, and we could not do this without you.
We wouldn't do it without you.
No. We probably would.
just
Even if
be
we
us.
had one listener, we'd probably still do it just
Yeah.
to entertain them, I guess. So thank you so much, Crazy. Thank you again for the voicemail. I will try to be better with Oregon, which sounds so wrong to me. So from Krista and I, until next time, stay strange. Bye.